Welcome to the Reel Study with your hosts, MrSniDBitS,
I was pleasantly surprised.
BlackGirlMarvel,
I cried laughing. That was hilarious.
Tyler the Filmmaker,
It's like so much depth. It's like nowadays it's, you got A shot, B shot.
all the movie things,
There's some great wide shots in this.
Janine DeBean,
Each other. They just kind of look like they were having fun and doing their own thing.
produced by Hyena, and me, the Reel Study movie voice guy.
But this was the first time where I got to see it told in a way where I was like, oh man.
Let's go to the poster wall.
Welcome to the Reel Study. I am MrSniDBitS, and with me tonight is BlackGirlMarvel, all the movie things, and Janine the Bean. No Will Wilkins tonight. We hope he does feel better. He was not feeling well, but we are so happy he was here for the last 3 weeks. So thank you for being here. We are going to continue with our last week of Kevin Smith month. This is kind of switching gears from all of his comedies to Red State and Tusk, both written and directed by Kevin Smith. Red State also stars the late, great Michael Parks, Melissa Leo, and John Goodman, among others. Tusk stars Justin Long, Michael Parks, and Haley Joel Osment, among others. And then in a few weeks, we're going to be doing some Christmas episodes. We've got some stuff planned for December, so keep an eye out for that. But before we get into anything, we're going to move over to the main wall, and I think La wants to tell us about social media.
What's up, folks? Thanks for joining us. As always, please. If you're watching this right now, you should be able to see up top that we are on Letterboxd, Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the social medias. We are there. So go follow us. We're also there separately. And I'm pretty sure wherever you're listening or watching us on, you should see links to our own personal social media accounts. We would greatly appreciate a follow each and every one of us, as well as the Reel Study podcast. We also are on podcast stream, so we're available on all podcast platforms. Please go like and comment there. Make sure you give us 5 stars. I think we're worth 5 stars. And make sure you join us on Discord.
Most
can
times.
add it. Yeah. Most times we're 6, so it's so get in there, get in there, get your rating. Join us on Discord. We love to have you. We love to have you come in and join in on the conversation. Maybe suggest your own film that we should partake in. We do have veto power, like I say every time, but we're not going to use it. It's rare. It's very rare. I'm not going to say we're not going to use it. It's just very, very rare. Just make sure you follow us on social media. And thanks again for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, La. And of course, we always watch movies because we're movie hounds. And I know there are a couple of huge movies that came out this weekend, and a couple of our panelists got to see them. Brian, you got to see Wicked. Is that right?
Yes, Wicked and Gladiator 2, which we'll jump in with Janine. But
Absolutely.
I'll talk about Wicked. So I had no frame of reference for any of this going in. Never seen any of the play or the musical. Never read the book, which is vastly different from what I understand. It's really dark and not for kids.
Okay.
Yeah, where this is kind of much more filtered version of that with some music in it. And this is one of the most anticipated films in a long time, not just this year, but they've been trying to make this film for a long time. And going into it, I didn't know what to expect. I knew some of the songs, of course, because it's been 21 years since this has been a musical. So and I was really surprised at how much I liked it. Got emotional during parts of it. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, this is perfect casting, which is one of the reasons it took so long was the casting process, and they really wanted to get this down because they're singing live. Everyone is singing live really on set during this.
Really?
So this is not recordings or anything. This is them. They sang live. She's singing live in the damn flying harness. She had to learn
I
how
heard
to
that.
breathe differently just to sing in that harness and everything. So it's basically singing with a girdle on, and then she's in that weird harness and moving around, and she's having to control it a lot of times. So yeah, she's. It might be the definitive, not no shade to anyone else is singing Defying Gravity, because it's a hard song, to sing. But this might be the definitive version of the song, because it's like, I don't know. I think there's something to one of the reasons it gets emotional. It gets you emotional, at least for me, was just, you just really feel something else from them when they're singing. And there's also a moment during like there's like this I can't remember what they call it, the Oz. There's like this like dance they all have to go to, right, that they're invited to, and she shows up, and of course it's kind of like ridiculed or whatnot, but there's this moment that wasn't, I guess, scripted, that's there, where like Cynthia Erivo gets emotional in it, and kind of like she was feeling something there, and they kind of just rolled with it and went with it, and it's in the film. And that part was like really, that really gets you. It just like you just really feel something. Yeah, I think the fact too, like I've been thinking about this. I only gave it 3.5 stars, but like the more I've thought about it, and the more the reactions I've seen from other people, the more I think I'm gonna bump it up to like a 4. Just because like it just has such an incredible impact on people. And Ariana Grande, God, she is so good. She is like all these really like comedic elements.
Yeah,
to it,
people don't think she can act, but
Oh my
I
God.
found her on the Nickelodeon show Victorious, and she was hilarious on
funny.
that show.
Yeah,
So she
yeah.
definitely plays into comedy, but people haven't seen that
Man,
aspect of her, so they just think of her as a singer.
she's really,
Yes, and I've also
she's
seen a lot
great
of
at this.
singing clips, and like normally when she's singing her own music, she kind of like jumbles all her words together. But I've seen her like actually really sing clearer and like take out a lot of the fancy things that she can do vocally, and strips it down really well. So I'm excited to see, her play into this character, especially because she's like has wanted to play this character like since she saw it since she was little. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she has kind of a connection to it. Like she, like the original Glinda, from
oh yeah, Kristen Chenoweth.
yeah, Kristen Chenoweth. They've known each other since she was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And she met her in her dressing room when she was doing Wicked herself. She tells a story about it and everything. And I don't know, I could talk forever about it. Like I will say there was a couple of things about it where it's like it is rather long. It's a lot longer, and it's a part 1, which they don't market it that way. They don't market it as a part 1. Yeah, kind of like Dune.
Chapter 1. Or
Dune did the same thing where they didn't market it as a part 1. And so you like going into it,
and then you kind of have a little bit of a
part 1. Yeah. And it ends like really great. And I've had Defying Gravity and Popular in my head all weekend. So
it's had a lasting impression on you, is what you're saying.
Yeah. For sure. Good. It's pretty great. Yeah.
I want to check out the 4DX screening, so we'll see how that is.
I feel like
I'm on a broom somewhere.
I know. Yeah. I will say I'm grateful for like people in my theater
weren't singing
at all.
Good.
Yeah. Because there's been, I guess,
fingers
people
crossed.
have been doing that.
And I think they are going to release sing-along versions that you can go to. So
yeah, that makes sense.
That's smart. That's very smart if they do that.
Oh yeah.
Well, they'll definitely put one on Disney
I just
when they do that.
I just wanted to say that what's that? The Broadway play of Wicked, Idina is also in a harness when she sings Defying Gravity. So I think that's a record. Like you gotta be in a harness to sing that song. Yeah, and I give them both. Yeah. I give them both props for that, because I couldn't even imagine how to breathe, what to look at, how to do that. So I think that's, I think that's great. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you have to watch the BTS of Cynthia though in her harness, because she's getting thrown around. Where like on the Broadway musical, it's nothing like that. Like
they're kind of lifting you up and then just kind of gliding.
Gliding you around.
Like, where she's getting like she's going fast.
Yeah, I think the difference too is what's her name? Idina climbs, so she's been in like a harness is not an issue for her. Whereas someone like Cynthia, who's probably never climbed ever, I bet that it was like way more like tough for her to be comfortable in that harness.
Speaking on Ariana's like ability, I think even just watching SNL when she hosted recently kind of shows her.
Totally.
It's really funny.
So Yeah.
She's been a comedic actor, so I think people are just being weird. Like,
Yeah,
she's
people.
been a comedic
I don't think
actor.
people knew about Victoria's because that was like a very kind of niche, you know.
Totally. And I've known that she's funny on SNL, but in this
Yeah.
context, it's a different level because
Yeah.
it's a full-on performance. It's not just this comedic element that she does, but she really embodies Galinda. And there's this whole thing about her name because she's Galinda, and then she and then changed it to Glinda. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Interesting.
But yeah, she's not like, she's almost like a mean girl. She's basically a mean girl, you know.
Yeah.
In the, you know, so I didn't know it. Like, it was just funny to like go into it
and she
pretty
wears
blind.
pink, so that
So,
works
yeah.
out nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a huge. I like Wizard of Oz enough, and I like Return to
Yeah.
Oz a lot actually, but that's because I'm weird. Can you tell me where Wicked fits in all of this?
So it's almost like it's like they're in
born
college.
before.
It's way. It's,
Oh.
it's before
So
everything.
It's
Before even the Yellow Brick
it's
Road
before
is
the
even
wi-
made.
It's
yeah,
how
it's
the two
before the
witches
wizard-
met each other.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So this is
before
pre
those.
Return to
I got
Oz or not Return to Oz? This is
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
that's
Pre-Wizard of Oz.
Definitely
Yeah.
pre-Wizard of Oz for
I'm
sure.
gonna send
yeah.
you a video. A girl actually did a breakdown of it, and she showed you how it connects to the Wizard of Oz and when it connects to the Wizard of Oz. So I'm gonna send you
Yeah.
a video. It's really awesome though. So I was like really excited to watch this film
Yeah.
because how she
Yeah.
like laid it out, how that timeline goes. Very like cool.
Yeah.
And I want to see it on
The-
screen.
all right.
And this film essentially is the first part of the play, so you kind of know like,
Mhm.
so where intermission is in the play is where this film
Ends.
Interesting.
ends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So-
is supposed to come
and we're not
out
getting-
next year.
Yeah, we got to wait a year, like a full
Yeah.
year.
Okay, so
Like
but that's better than what they could
November
do.
next year.
That's not too
Yeah.
bad. I mean,
Which
It's a
means
very
that they
Matrix
pretty much
error.
probably already filmed it. They just split it in half.
Yeah,
No, they
it's
did,
like-
yeah.
They've been talking about it like in
in
interviews and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
I
like
watched
Venom
any of their
3,
interviews.
Hardy looks like an 80-year-old now.
Right.
Instead of,
I kind of feel bad for them too because they're gonna have to like go out and
Do this promotion
remarket it
cycle
again,
all
do this
over
promotion
again.
cycle again. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, oh man.
It's like part two,
That's a
y'all. Like, all right,
Yeah,
go
like-
see
We
it,
did this
please.
already. We're back again.
couldn't they just reuse all the same? Just it's Wicked. Here,
Right?
Yeah.
All the outfits they're gonna have to procure again, and pink and
Oh my
pink
God.
I
and
know.
green. And
They
I'm
did a great
tired
job with that.
just talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I think that's a lot thanks to Barbie. Like
Hi,
that was
Barbie.
a big
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
Right. So Janine, well, you and Brian as well, but you guys got to see Gladiator 2, the much anticipated sequel to Ridley Scott's Gladiator.
Mhm.
Let's hear what Janine thinks about Gladiator 2.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was entertained.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. I will say I felt like I wish some moments were a little more earned, particularly the moments between Connie Nielsen's character and Paul Mescal's character. I think everyone did an incredible performance. The ending for me, though, it felt like very celluloid. It felt like a satire of a movie within a movie, if that makes sense. Like if your characters in a movie went to go see a Gladiator movie, this is how they would kind of spoofily or
Mm.
satirically end it.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if that makes sense, but generally I think they found a really
I think you
great
have to
way
see the movie for that. Like I
Yeah.
totally get what you're saying. Yeah, like
Yeah.
when yeah.
Yeah. But I think they found a really interesting way to connect the two films, connect the story. And everyone was great. I feel like I wanted more. Like I feel like some characters left the film earlier than I expected them to. So that
Mhm.
was kind of an interesting surprise. But generally I think the action was great. The story was solid and I had a lot of fun with it, but I wouldn't say it was better than the first one.
Right. Awesome.
Brian, what did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. And I just got the Gladiator Steelbook like a few days before this, like perfect timing. So I rewatched that and like cried. Like every time I watch that movie, I cry. And it's like it is a masterpiece. Like not even being hyperbolic, it really is. And so this film already had an uphill battle
Yeah.
with that, because I mean, how do you do that? And it's definitely not like Janine said, it has its stuff. Like I felt like there was some I feel like it was paced pretty well. I felt like
Yeah.
just like Janine said though too, I feel like Paul Mescal's character, there were some moments that weren't really earned. You know, there's a lot of similar beats
Yeah.
this film takes, like in the first film. Yeah, I do feel like the relationship between Kai Nielsen, which was great to see her.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know what her like skincare routine is or
She
whatever, but
looks
she's like
she looks exactly the same.
I know
Yeah.
she was gorgeous, and she's like 59 or something, like you
Yeah.
know, like insane.
That's
But
what happens when you live a good life and you mind your business.
Yeah.
Just
man,
age
yeah,
beautifully.
she,
You know?
right.
She seems very
But
unproblematic.
Yes.
Hearing
And I think
about
she's
her
dating.
and, like,
So they probably have some weird
you know what I
European
mean?
Yeah.
hair
Yeah,
situation
she is
going on.
Danish. That's
She's
right.
like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like kangaroo
but
saliva or something all over the face. Who knows? It's something.
and
Does that come
yeah,
in a
and
jar or in a tube?
Yeah, jar.
Jar. Okay.
always
I
glass
didn't know.
jar.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so so this one's really great. It's not a masterpiece, like I'd mentioned in like my Letterboxd review. Like it's
Yeah.
not approaching that level. Performances are
It feels a little bit
insane.
manufactured, but yeah, really
Yeah,
still
yeah,
really
yeah,
entertaining.
yeah. And like some people have issues with it. Like I never understand this. I understand like if there's too many like little nods to like a previous film, you know, like you might as well like literally look at the camera and wink. But I didn't feel like that was the case with
Yeah,
this
me
one. And some
neither. I
people
hear
have a
people
problem with
complaining
that.
about that, but
Yeah, I'm
no,
like,
I thought it was just
what do you
enough
right,
nods and
exactly.
yeah,
Same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, I don't have to like really talk about Denzel.
I was
mean,
going to
So
ask,
good.
but I figured
holy
you wouldn't
hell.
need to.
Yeah,
You
no,
could just
he was incredible.
say Denzel. You could just say his name. We
Like
get it. You know what I mean? Just
He's been
and
so
like
much on the red carpet lately, and
He's
just
been
seeing so
his
many
press
interviews
has
with
been
him.
so fun. Like,
oh,
no,
I
his
know.
press
Yeah,
has been
yeah,
great. Now I've seen
yeah,
his press. Okay, I ain't
Well,
seen
him,
Wicked, but I saw it.
yeah.
Him and Pedro Pascal in their like interaction about
I
I'm gonna have you
know.
over to have some drinks. Like,
Yeah. Well, him
and
and Paul
another
too, because they have a lot of.
a
I
lot of
mean, a
scenes
lot of their
together. Yeah.
scenes are together,
Oh,
and then
okay.
like, oh my god, I really I wish I could talk about the like. I mean, Janine, you know what I'm talking about. The final like.
Yes.
it's like an
Damn.
unspoken conversation right now.
So
What's
good.
it
Yes.
That's the joy. Good
Man, I was like,
conversations
Yeah,
you have
it's so
around food.
good.
Yeah.
It's
Incredibly
so good.
powerful. Yeah, yeah.
So would you say that this was the Force Awakens of gladiator films? Like, would you say it was like that? Like
Kinda.
it was kind of like a
Kind of like that. Yeah, like a
like
going
a
back,
nod,
the
like a
nods
going
to
back.
things,
Yeah.
but the
Right.
nods that made sense to,
Yeah. Right.
it
Gotcha.
was set up well. It wasn't like just there to be there for fan
Right. They
service.
didn't like write it around
Right.
all these like
Yeah.
nods to like
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
Any
get it?
nods
You get it?
were
You get
there
it?
and they made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
How
feel
did Joe
bad for
Quinn
the
do in this?
What was that?
How did Joseph
was
Quinn
Joe
do?
Quinn?
Oh yeah. So they have twin emperors in this. So
Yeah.
there's these brothers.
Interesting.
Yeah, who are kind
Yeah.
of maniacal and insane, and
I like.
a
Uh-huh.
lot
I
of
like
this film
that.
felt very topical.
Oh,
Which
totally.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah.
There is a lot of it in that,
Yeah.
which actually like both of these films
Just like
actually
Red
Wicked.
State.
Yes,
Wicked
yes.
and
Wicked
like
Yeah.
has some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, plus that was another
Yeah.
thing I wanted to mention about Wicked was like the casting of Cynthia Erivo, like her being a
Yes.
black woman adds this whole other
And playing
like
into the
insane
discrimination
layer
because
to
of
it.
her skin color.
Oh my
Yeah.
god,
And then like what
dude.
people are saying now is just like
Yeah.
exhausting.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was
I mean,
perfect
we're
casting
always
for that
people
because of that.
of
Hearing that she
people
fought to
color.
have her
Yeah.
have braids, like
Yes. Yeah.
incredibly
I
special
love
stuff.
her
Yeah.
braids and everything too. Actually, I think it's really great.
Yes.
And she
But
has
yeah,
these like great
film.
freckles. Like her
Yeah.
makeup's incredible. Like I almost thought it was like digital because it was too good.
Yeah.
I'm like, did they digitally put her green skin on? Because but it was actual makeup, so it was they did a good job. But
And
anyway,
that's
Yeah.
why
glad
people need
it's-
to let talented people do talented things.
I know.
Yes.
Like who
There
cares?
are
if like I know,
talented
it's so
makeup
stupid.
people. Like
Exactly.
let them do the things that they
Right.
that they can do, and then add a little bit of CGI or touch or
If you
whatever. But
think
let
you
them
need
do
it,
a
yeah.
thing if you need it.
Mhm.
Like there's nothing beyond
was
somebody
too
just
deep, but-
perfecting their art. Like
Right.
that's
Well, and
yeah.
and those types
really
of
good.
skills have been in like we've had CGI for how long now? 40 years. Really, decent
Yeah.
CGI.
Yeah.
Right.
And
yeah.
yet
Mhm.
makeup has still advanced, and yet people don't think
Oh my
about
God.
how
I know.
much
Yeah,
it's
it's
advanced.
like a
Right.
last
Mhm.
resort
Or practical
thing.
effects for that matter.
Yeah.
So
And that's
Yeah.
crazy to me because practical effects, practical makeup, all that stuff is like, to me, it's better than CGI. Like I know CGI can give you like
Yeah.
grand scale things. It can be
Yeah.
like we could be in the mountains now with CGI, and that's
Yeah.
beautiful. But when it comes to me, like looking at a person. Like, give me some practical effects, man. There's too many talented people out here. Like,
but even when you marry the two, you can get some great results.
Yeah, you get some great results.
That was the thing too about
Deadpool,
both of
Wolverine,
these,
right?
Yeah,
Deadpool,
that was the thing
Wolverine
about both of these
job.
films. They both, like, you assume there's a lot of CG, but like, I mean, even Denzel says like Ridley Scott built Rome, which they did in the first one too, which is an incredible thing too, because like this film had like a $300 million budget, where the first one only had like 100 million. Of course, it was like 24 years ago, but still, it's like, man. But they built a lot of sets. Same thing with like
with
Wicked built a lot of stuff too for that. Like,
and I love that too. Let's build practical like sets. As an actor, seeing stuff to be able to actually touch the stuff,
feel tangible. Yeah.
Especially when you're doing
really
like dance
helps.
sequences and stuff like that.
Yeah,
in that space. Like,
have you guys
really
seen
helps.
that picture of George Lucas in 1980 versus 2001? Where it's him in front of all the props from all the Star Wars movies, and then one where he's just standing in front of green screen.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this is a problem.
He added in there.
Especially when he was so cutting edge with those special effects. To watch him step away from that, I was like, ooh. Anyway.
Well, I think that's his thing though. He wants to like, he's always wanted
innovate.
to try, because like, I mean, episode 1 was like one of the first films to be shot digitally in film history.
And with a full CGI character through the whole film, which was pretty big.
That was like his
At
pride.
least I think. Okay, I'm sorry.
You're good.
Sorry.
All right. Well, I'm excited about both of these now. I'm not that I wasn't already, but now
it was a great.
Now I really got
same.
It was
I'll
a
be
great
very
weekend
honest.
for film.
You, Brian, you talking about Wicked? I was on the fence of not seeing Wicked because I'm not really a big Cynthia Erivo fan. I'm not a big no. I respect her talent. I just meant her as like a person out in the world, like from what I've seen from her. Her talent, I will never deny her talent.
Oh yeah,
because her talent is
back on people real quick.
I look stupid. I look stupid if I try to deny her talent. She's ridiculously talented.
Right.
But I was really on the fence about seeing it just because of like some statements she's made and things like that I just don't particularly jive with.
I wasn't aware. Yeah.
Like racially, like towards Black people and things like that. It's just I'm just not a fan of it. But your review makes me kind of want to just not so much like push that aside,
just acknowledge what everyone else
just
put into that movie.
Exactly, Judy. Exactly. So your review, I'm gonna go check this out because of that. So
and their relationship together, Ariana and hers, they really have this bond.
Yeah.
Like even in real life, like so. I mean, they're like crying in.
People are making fun of them, but you really feel that.
Yeah, they're like crying in interviews and stuff like that. I personally am like, I was watching that stuff and I was like, that's really cool because you build a relationship with people on set.
Especially like in this theater kid aspect, that's a whole different world of like bonding and connecting with people.
And then like this isn't Cynthia's like, you know, first Hollywood film, but you're stepping into a role that's very, very popular, like very popular. Because a song, there you go. And then you have Ariana, who's like, you this megastar, but you're dipping back into an acting world that you've left for like a big role that you've left the acting world for a long time, so that you can bond people, and people making fun of that. Can I just punch everybody in the throat? Like even though I don't, that's just weird to me. Like it can't be emotional and happy.
Is what
right. Well, and the thing too is like people don't understand. Like we just mentioned, like it's just people that have never been in that kind of situation. That's they never worked on a set, never worked on a movie. Like you don't understand like
how bonds can
how the bonds are made.
Like,
have you all come together collectively for this one goal,
right? To do a thing.
It's
huge
emotionally
thing.
Draining. It's physically draining. Like,
and no one will know experience except you.
No.
Exactly.
So it's like.
And all you can lean on is the person to your right, the person to your left. You can only lean on those people because people at home are like, bro, you making a movie, like shut up. And it's like, but I'm tired and it's a lot. And my God, I'm in a harness and I'm swinging and I'm doing it. I gotta sing and I gotta
you have this bond with all these people, and then you suddenly like separate and you're like,
right,
it's like,
and they probably haven't seen each other since they wrapped that film.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like give
I
him a break.
Just watched Chris Evans talking about Endgame and how it was much like that, where he was like, okay, we're going to do this. They got on set. He said he could tell they were doing something very unique and very spectacular. But then he said it was over so fast. He was like, it was over faster than it should have been. And I feel ripped off. because of how fast it was over.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that feeling would happen for a lot of people in these movies.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
on movies we think suck, they probably
Right.
still have these bonds and have
No,
these
for
bonds.
sure. Can you
So-
imagine like the first Avengers film, the 6 of them, that
Oh,
bond?
right.
Oh yeah.
He
Like,
said that. He
that's-
said on Endgame they got to do a lot of those scenes again together because it was
Oh yeah, because of
them.
the time
And
travel
they
stuff.
spend a lot of time, right? So that whole scene in the
Right.
beginning when Tony comes back, they're all there together, and he said it was much like the first film again, and just kind of a reunion of sorts.
Right.
Wow. And you can feel that in the movie, and so I can get that.
Right.
Yeah.
from what you guys are saying about Wicked.
Right.
It's amazing.
Sweet. I'm gonna check that
Movies
out.
are
And
amazing.
Gladiator. My mom saw Gladiator 2 before me. My
Right.
mom.
Damn.
She was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go see Gladiator 2." I was like, "Ma'am, did you see the first one?" She was like, "Yeah, a long time ago." I was like, "It's on Max. I need you to rewatch that. I need you to because
I
you're
will say
gonna."
it
or
does
you're gonna
help.
miss.
It does
Yeah,
help
it
to watch
does.
Gladiator before you
No,
watch.
and that's why I told her to do that because I'm like, the film is 24 years old, ma'am, and you probably
Right.
saw it 24 years ago. I need you to go ahead and just go and look at it again, just one good time.
And those moments where I felt like didn't feel completely earned, I probably would have felt worse about those moments had I not.
Oh
watched
yeah.
it.
Oh,
Oh, no,
Right.
totally. Yeah, I think
Right.
so too. Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that's what a lot of like what people's issues are with it too. Is like a lot of them aren't revisiting Gladiator. They have a like
Beforehand. Yeah.
yeah,
They
they
like-
have
they like,
kind of
I've seen it
a memory
before.
of it, but
I've
yeah,
seen it. I remember it.
And all
Like,
they're doing is remembering the 7 scenes that are just the most famous.
right. That are
biggest-
replayed
yeah.
all
the
over
only
again.
the only
Yeah.
scene they remember is "Are you not
Are you not
entertained?"
entertained?
And they think they saw Gladiator. They remember Gladiator.
Pretty
There
much.
you
Yeah,
go.
his little monologue that he tells
Yeah.
Travis,
Yeah.
Takes the
before-
helmet off.
that thing. Like,
God, so
I
good.
like get so hyped for that scene. Like
So good.
every time I see it so many times, I was like, oh yes, yeah. Anyway,
It would have been
go
interesting
see
to
both
have.
those movies. Yeah,
It would have been interesting to have Russell Crowe in this movie. I know that that's not a thing, but Denzel and him working together yet another time would have been very interesting because
well, it's funny. Janine just made a video about that.
Did you really? That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
I did
All the
about this weird
connections
connection
between Denzel.
between the two of them that
Yeah.
they were.
Did you bring up virtuosity?
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
So I
she
started
starts
with
with
virtuosity. Like Denzel's the cop, Russell Crowe's the killer, and then
Right.
like the bad guy, and then
Mhm.
American Gangster. They
Gangster,
switch.
right?
And
They
they switch.
switch.
Now Russell Crowe's
And
the
I-
cop.
Yeah.
Somebody was
between-
asking. Oh, I'm so
Between
sorry.
2000 and 2002, they were both nominated for 2 Oscars.
Right.
They
Yeah.
like won for their more genre films and lost for their more Oscar baity films. And then Brian brought up some really great trivia that the 2
Yeah.
films that they lost for were both Roger Deakins.
Yeah,
Oh, wow,
Roger Deakins
okay.
shot both of
That's
those.
funny.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. No,
Yes.
what I think is interesting is somebody brought up, what actor has like the perfect career, which there's not really such a thing, but
Right.
who can you find that's close?
yeah.
And my brain immediately went to Denzel. I'm like,
I
oh
mean,
God,
it's-
Denzel, right?
Yeah.
But then I
pretty
thought,
great.
oh, virtuosity. Oh
I mean,
God,
virtuosity
okay.
is like the one. Yeah,
But
there's
Yeah.
he has
They
like
remade
one or
it, right?
two. but-
they made it up by doing American Gangster, so in a way it cancels out.
like-
So virtuosity
Right.
doesn't
A
count anymore.
redo. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
and it was so
innocent,
long
yeah.
ago. It was like super early in Russell's
Yeah, nobody-
career.
It was like
A rare
lawnmower
group
man
of us
style
remember that
effects.
film.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah,
So
I mean-
terrible. Yeah, it is weirdly relevant in ways now, but not. But anyway, I digress. All right, we do have some news to cover this evening, and then we are going to get on to our 2 really effed up films, and we will get into that discussion. So yeah, we're going to move to the news.
Oh, Bri, I can't wait.
Now it's time for the real news.
So good.
All right, so the first story we've got tonight is Jonathan Major's ex-girlfriend, dropped all charges.
yeah.
Which is interesting, but I looked into it a little further. This does not mean
There.
that he's not guilty by any means.
Right.
Yeah.
It just means that the charges have been dropped because they settled out of court. What they called, what do they call it? They close the case with prejudice, which means it can never be reopened again. It can never be litigated again. But and one of the reasons is when they finalize in court, they say, we've completely settled out and we are all dropping it. So it sounds like that's what happened, not that he was accused or anything like that. And of course, this is going to have no effect on what's happening with Marvel because they have very much moved on from him. But
Oh yeah.
it's just interesting when this kind of thing happens, a year later. I don't know. People have mixed feelings about it, I think. So
Yeah. I think around this whole
Absolutely.
situation, people have been kind of unsure what to believe and what to think and how to
Absolutely.
feel about
Yeah.
it. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, a
And
guy
then there's
saw
also a
brought up
recent
the point-
engagement.
Oh yeah, him and
Yeah.
Megan Good just got
Yeah.
engaged.
Him and Megan
So
Good, yeah, kind of engaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody brought up a good point, though. I think that when Robert Downey Jr. was brought on, he had already had a huge history of terrible problems, and then they let him come back to redeem himself. And before they even heard what was going on with Majors, they just dropped him. And it's another one of those things like, wait a minute, why is there this weird double standard?
It's a different time, like 2008 to now. A lot has kind of changed in terms of cancel culture and that kind of thing. And I think Robert Downey Jr.'s problems were more personal problems that didn't like inherently hurt more people than just himself.
Exactly. And he had like much more time before even like being cast in Iron Man. Like,
doing anything,
he had all this time to like do the work that he needed to do.
He had like 5 years after he got out before Iron Man came along. So you're right there.
I will say, just to play devil's advocate, that's just who I am as a person. But I will say, because there has been during Robert Downey Jr.'s time, like the studio still wasn't like
for sure. It was like John really having his back.
So right. So for me, it's still like a little bit of like they gave him a chance. They still like let him come back in to prove himself. But you would think that Disney would have learned from the Johnny Depp situation to like take a breather,
right?
Just take a breath, like let some stuff play out first before you kind of like make a decision. But I will also say on top of that too, Jonathan Majors got a job way quicker than Robert Downey Jr. did when Robert Downey Jr. was doing his stuff. So like on the flip side of things, there are things on both ends where like one got a little bit of more and the other one didn't, and vice versa. When people bring up, because people do bring up those two people a lot when they talk about Jonathan, they bring up RDJ as like a counter, and I think they both got slighted in some ways, and then they both got some stuff that the other one didn't get. So
and there's more nuance to both.
To both,
and even when Robert Downey Jr. was like before he got cast in Tropic Thunder, Ben Stiller even was still unsure about casting him and had to like have a conversation with Jon Favreau about, hey, is RDJ still okay? Like, how was that? So they even though he proved
then,
himself in Iron Man, like
there's still some like funk on you. There's still a smell, a little lasting effect, which I understand, because like if you putting
it's a lot of money,
your reputation, all this stuff on it.
You're trying to build a universe on this guy.
You feel me? Like I'll be asking questions too.
In all the movies, like he was going to be.
He was going to be kind of like this through line, and I think he was already in like in his 40s, so it was just like a lot of hurdles for him. Yeah.
Now they're gonna have to just be like, well, Kang just vanished somehow. They're gonna have to do that.
I think the real villain was Doom all along.
Yes, it was Doom.
No, facts, right? It was Doom. He's gonna pull it's gonna be Kang, and they're just gonna pull it off, and it's just Doom, and I'm just like, okay.
Scooby-Doo ending.
Apparently, Kevin Smith. Since we're on Kevin Smith this evening, Kevin Smith was at that announcement. He said, and he was standing in the back. And he had seen all these Dooms running around. He's like, what's going on? I guess they're going to bring Doom in. And then apparently, as soon as they announced it, Kevin screamed, holy shit! And you can actually hear that audibly in the recording of that event, which is hilarious. Of course, Kevin Smith would do that, right?
Yeah.
So you said you had something about William Shatner and a short that was filmed. Is that right, Jenny?
Yes. So Star Trek fans will get to see a reunion between Kirk and Spock that they didn't get in Star Trek Generations. There's a new short film out called 765-874 Unification, where we get to see where we get to see Shatner's Kirk and Nimoy's Spock reunite and see each other before Spock dies. Sam Witwer, actor and probably voice actor best known for playing Darth Maul in Clone Wars. He did kind of the acting, the body work, and with makeup and CGI, they made him look exactly like William Shatner with the permission and expressed involvement of William Shatner. They also got permissions from the Nimoy estate as well to make the other actor look a lot like Leonard Nimoy. And there's not a lot of dialogue. I don't think there's really any dialogue at all.
No dialogue.
Which is better when you kind of do things like that.
No, for sure.
When you try to make those things talk, it looks
that's where the uncanny valley.
Yes. So I think they handle it really well, and I think fans, while they loved seeing Picard and Kirk meet and be together, that I think they were very disappointed in Generations not getting to see in that film that reunion. So this film will give them that. So it's like a 10-11 minute short where Kirk gets to kind of transcend to this other realm where Spock is and just sit with him before he passes. So it's kind of like a beautiful kind of emotional thing. And the makeup stuff they did looks really pretty good. And
you can see it right here.
So Sam Witwer has been posting a lot of pictures of him filming the short. And I think they did a really good job.
Which that's good to know.
So.
I think some people are assuming it's like all AI. Which is problematic. So I think it's good to see that we actually had actors and we reached out to the respective
and like commissions and had their involvement and all of that kind of thing.
Doing it the right way.
Shout out to Sam Witwer though. I love me some Sam Witwer. Like, like it's crazy.
He just pops up so randomly.
Listen, and I love every time he does it, man. I love him so much. Like
it's crazy.
He was actually the former Star Wars champion on the Schmodown. So he actually in the Schmodown. Like before I had even become a competitor, I got to go to a live event taping where he was playing against another competitor doing like a Star Wars Iron Man match. And he ultimately just relinquished the title because he's like, I keep winning, so I just have to keep coming back and I don't have time to do this.
Oh my God.
So,
How terrible.
So he was part of the Schmodown for a while.
He's deep in the Star Wars lore, just like Freddie Prinze Jr. And I love listening to both of them. See? I love listening to both of them talk Star Wars. They're so like deep in it. It's so good. So obsessed.
It reminded me of my old stomping grounds because I used to be really into Star Wars.
I'm 6 degrees from Sam Witwer.
I know, right? I can't believe I know you, Janine. That's crazy.
And I almost played against Kevin Smith.
A lot of people.
That's crazy.
Had I answered one question right, I would have played Kevin Smith in a strong.
Oh, that would haunt me for the rest of my life.
Like, Evan, if you're listening, Janine wants a rematch and she would love to battle you. We'll come up with the questions. Come on the Real Study. We'll make a whole episode.
No, facts.
Just putting that out there. All right. So we do have 2 more stories, kind of shorter ones. Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein is, of course, rolling along, and we've got a production photo from it, and it looks fantastic.
And like, why is it? Is it not getting a theatrical release? I still haven't heard whether it's
Netflix
like a Netflix
is producing it, so I don't think so.
It's so stupid.
I know. Yes. I agree. Especially for a movie that is. Whoa, it is getting a theatrical release. Our producer just told us.
Probably like an limited.
Thank you to the voice of God for telling us.
I know.
Right?
We're just told.
Thank you, Aina, for that.
Well, we know from Dogma that God is a woman. So yes, that works.
It makes sense. And then of course we got an announcement that Jurassic World Rebirth or Jurassic World 4, Jurassic Park 7, I don't know what you want to call it, but is coming out. And I had this question. Is the Jurassic Park World franchise becoming another just overblown franchise at this point?
Fast
or
and Furious?
Are you guys excited about more dinosaurs?
I mean, I like Jonathan Bailey, and I think he's very particular about what he does. Everything he's done in this kind of, blooming part of his career has been like really solid stuff of substance. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like I don't think he would pick anything kind of not
There's
good.
So many people in this film, though.
Yes.
I didn't know this film existed.
So
I only knew about it because of Scarlett Johansson casting.
Yes, and John Bailey as well. So I mean,
Mahershala Ali is in this as well.
Yeah, so like their casting has me hopeful that this is not just kind of a cash grab thing, that there's going to be a little bit of substance in it, unlike kind of the fluff of the Chris Pratt one.
Yeah, the last one was.
I am of the mind that even Jurassic Park 3 is good, and people can hate me all they want for that. But I think that anything with dinosaurs in it is good, regardless of the human characters. I just love seeing the critters on screen. I love watching what they do, even if it gets a little muddy. And I think that's kind of the point of them. It's like going to a Star Wars movie to watch lightsaber battles. It's kind of like the reason to go, right?
There are fun elements in there for sure. So like it's
so
one of those like it's bad, but you still enjoy it kind of movie. So
and I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, okay, it's another dinosaur movie. You're not going to hear me say no to another one. I'll judge it.
That's pretty much where I am. I love classic Jurassic Park because come on, Spielberg. Jurassic Park. God, can't even speak. You know what I mean? The Chris Pratt ones were fun. I mean, they were fun. I don't have anything like negative to say. Only thing negative I have to say about those is why was she wearing heels the entire time? But anyway, that's I'll
'Cause
stay
it's
on
cool
that.
stuff.
It had definitely had some fun elements, but pretty sloppy generally.
Yeah, they had some
Yeah.
fun elements. I just enjoy the dinosaur part of it. I really don't care about the human part. Like, so for these movies, I'm just really big on like what they gonna do with the dinosaurs this time. So I don't really
Even
care.
in
Kill all the humans.
Dominion, right? In Dominion, it got really when she had to like dive into the water and it like came over the water. I'm like, this is so much a
Yeah.
horror movie, and I love the aspect of being food for the dinosaurs. I don't know. That's just me.
Eat all the
Weirdly,
humans.
I'm actually almost done with Jurassic Park the book, which holy shit, the difference between the movie and the book is pretty phenomenal.
Changed a lot,
Yeah.
And it's weird because the book is like really anti-science in a way, like big time, and in the movie they're more like anti-corporate in a way, like this corporate giant in Hammond. And Hammond in the book is a total turd. Like he's a piece of garbage. Well, of course, our Hammond in the movie, you love him.
Grandfather,
like, you love the guy. He's just an idiot, you know.
And Richard Attenborough just like obviously brings a lot of more warmth to that character.
Totally. Yeah.
Right.
My birthday.
But everybody's different. Everybody's different. Even Ian Malcolm is supposed to be a bodybuilder almost, like a big burly guy.
They did a good job with that.
Yeah, they did.
No complaints there.
But it's interesting because like there are little things where I'm like, oh, Lex and Tim are different ages. Like they reverse them, and there's all the scenes you expect. They're in very different locations. It's worth reading. You guys should read it if you haven't. I digress. The last story was one I just kind of caught, and I've heard about this before, but I just wanted to bring it up because it was brought up because the director of the movie was asked. Chuck Russell was asked about The Mask, which was filmed and released in 1994. Apparently, it was originally supposed to be a horror film because he had done Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 and then The Blob, and then they hired him on for this, going, let's make a horror movie, and he was like, this is too Freddy. Let's not do this. Let's go to comedy route. And so it was originally supposed to be the main character killing people, but it was with cartoon.
If you've ever seen the Dark Horse comic, yeah, that tracks though. Like the Dark Horse comic is like brutal. Like,
right?
It's not really funny. Yeah. I mean, he tries to be funny in it, but it's like bloody.
But it's like The Boys funny, where it's like, oh God.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's funny, but no.
So it makes sense that
murder.
that they kind of wanted to go that route, but yeah.
But I could, I still wish we could get one. It would be interesting if somebody.
Totally. I'd love to see like a comic accurate version.
Right.
Yeah.
It made me think though the real horror movie in The Mask is The Son of Mask. Of course, that's the horror movie.
Ooh, yes.
I'm so terrible. All right. We got a couple of movies we're going to talk about. Why don't we move over to Red State? This is a 2011 release, directed and written by and edited by Kevin Smith. And he's actually in the movie for like a split second as a voice, and we'll get to that. Who had not seen Red State before today or this week? Brian and Law. Okay. Brian, we wanted to hear your thoughts on Red State.
All right. First time watch, long time listener. And I didn't know what to expect with this one. I was thinking it was gonna be more of a horror film, but it actually is more of like just this kind of like action
political almost
thriller. And like I think overall I thought it was just okay. I thought like it is pretty timely. I kind of like I felt like there were like really long like expository scenes. I mean, that first scene in the church was really, for me, it was just dragging.
It went on for so long.
Like hats off to, was that Michael Parks? With like this insane monologue, which he has like very similar long monologues in Tusk too. So it's like, just give him a monologue, he'll go. And so I wonder if that's like, if that's a result of like Kevin Smith not used to this
genre film.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like this kind of like quippy, fast beat comedy thing. Because it kind of just like slows the film down right there, and then we like kind of pick up. So I kind of like wanted more of like build up of like, hey, like how terrible is this church, you know, and these people. So kind of I don't know. I think I wanted a little more. Like I didn't really feel for like the kids that were captured, you know, so much, but and I kind of like wanted more of like, I really wanted to hear like their like
why they were
Just
doing that, like
yeah,
why they
exactly.
are this
They're
way, like why
a
they
little more
decided
background
to
on
go
that.
down this path of like
Yeah.
enacting their own sense of like religious justice.
Exactly. Yeah, because
Why they
it's
felt
like
like they had to go this far.
yeah, because it is very like it is very timely because these kind of churches, and
Religious
these religious
zealots and
extremists exist,
Mhm.
and so there is a lot of that in there that I really like respect. And then it like turns in this like crazy shootout kind of scene, where it's just like intense, and then we get another long kind of sequence of dialogue with John Goodman and his whole like debrief and everything. So it's kind of like these three chunks of the film. There's like a lot of dialogue, this like action kind of escape sequence and shootout, and then another chunk of dialogue. So oh hey
It's Will Wilkins. Welcome Will Wilkins.
Welcome, Will Wilkins.
But hello.
Great timing. Incredible timing.
I know.
We were just
starting
starting to
with
talk about Red State. So yeah.
But yeah, that's my take.
Okay. Lala, what did you think of Red State?
I liked it. I truly did. I truly liked it because I've never seen it before. I wasn't sure what it was about. It's very relevant for today, or like forever, for like our lives. Because like Bryce said, that there are like zealot like churches out here, zealot people out here. I will say I don't think we'll ever know their reasoning why, but I do feel like John Goodman's agent Keenan, I think, kind of like put a head on it when he said that, because it's like my favorite quote of all time. I low-key want to tattoo this on my body. I won't, but I kind of want to. But he says people just do the strangest things when they believe they're entitled, but they do even stranger things when they plain believe it. So to me, that's the explanation for why they did what they did, because they felt some type of superiority because like they read the Bible and took it the way they wanted to take it. And took it in a way that satisfied them and made them feel superior to others,
and totally missed the point of it being open to interpretation.
Oh yeah.
Right. For all people.
So right. So for me, I was like, I enjoy Kevin Smith's use of like dialogue. I like how he uses dialogue. I feel like all his films have this sort of rush, and now we kind of slow down and we talk for a time, and then we get back to what's going on. I feel like all his films have that. I don't know, for this one in particular, because of like how heavy it was, I enjoyed kind of like those quieter moments a little bit, because I was like, I felt like I was like, okay, all right, I could breathe for a second and take a little breather, and then we can get back to like whatever the rest of the story is. But I will say, I think it was cast very nicely. Like, I love John Goodman. I think John Goodman is a phenomenal actor. I think he can do anything you ask him to do. He'll just do it. Yeah. He could probably play a bird, and I'll be like, that's the greatest bird since Hey Hey from Moana. Like, that's the greatest bird ever. Like, I feel like he can. And so I love to see like younger actors like Kyle Gallner, Michael Angelano.
Oh yeah,
and I forget
Sky
the
High
other
reunion.
Yeah, man. Like I forgot the other kid's name. What is like Eddie Braun, I believe, or something like that. Like all of them, like seeing them kind of like younger and kind of like in this like serious like film, when I'm used to seeing them in like very comedic things, even though Kyle Gallner has been doing like way more serious and crazy, like ramped up stuff nowadays. But it was just cool to see them in like in a different like element, like with a different director, with different words, to see kind of like how they play that up. Overall, I mean, I enjoyed this film. It's probably something I wouldn't watch very soon, but I think it's something I might add to the Kevin Smith like lexicon. Gallery, lexicon. Yeah, thank you. I couldn't find the words, Janine. You're amazing. I think I'll add it to it because like I enjoyed the story it told. I enjoyed the performances for the actors. I really truly feel like we were not supposed to care about this church and these people and what happened to them because of it. The kids maybe, because the kids are innocent in this and they're just being like brainwashed. But like, girl, I don't care about. If I was Kyle, I'd have killed her. I'd have shot her. I'd try to get that gun, and I would have blew her brains out. Like real talk. Like all this talking she was doing, I'd have like, bro, kill. The whole time she was talking, I was like, kill her, please. I was like, kill her at this point. But Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I love how Kevin can go from very serious to something funny. Like, it's just how he can weave that very well, like better than I think most, like a lot of directors, at least the directors I've seen in my mind. I haven't seen all directors, but the directors I've seen, Kevin Smith weaves that line between like kind of ridiculous and serious at the same time. And I don't know how he does it, but it just works for me. Like, I don't know how he does it. I don't want to know the behind the scenes of how he does it. It just works for me, and I love it. So I enjoy Red State.
I love it. I love it. Will Wilkins, thank you for joining us. We're very glad to see you here. Tell us what your thoughts on Red State are.
First of all, my apologies for being late, but interestingly enough, as I was rummaging for some relief in the medicine cabinet, right after I discussed with you not being able to make it, I actually found anti-nausea pills from a previous ill encounter. So I'm currently sustained adequately, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I had to be here for today because of these.
I respect
movies.
that.
I was just compelled to, having been on this entire journey with you guys.
Right.
Red State is actually one of my favorite Kevin Smith movies that's not a Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
And I say that because, like, realistically speaking, I kind of hit on this last week, I think. This movie is one of two things. The first is it's a movie where every instinct with where he thought the story should go, he then did the opposite, what he viewed as the opposite. So it really isn't a Kevin Smith movie. There's also, in my opinion, there's no hero in this movie. To a degree, there's no point to this movie. Because there is literally no one to root for at any point, you know, and which I thought was an interesting and amazing choice, since, you know, every one of his stories is essentially, to some degree, the hero's journey. And most importantly, there was something about it the first time I saw it where I was like, oh my God, this is like, and a poor way to put this, but like, this is almost like his Coen brothers level movie, because of just all of the interesting challenges and the intricacy of some of the plot points as they help both further the movie along, but also, you know, kind of explain how this bad situation can escalate to worse just because somebody else has another agenda they need to hide.
Yeah.
So at that level, I appreciated it. And you know, lastly, like I said, it's a movie where there's no one to root for. Pardon me. The other last thing I like is that there are still little bits that make sense. And I think, you know, after the number of years, because this movie also came out at the same time where I most became professionally involved with Kevin Smith. He was touring this movie while I was building a radio studio in his living room. So I'm very intimate when it comes to this film, but that's neither here nor there. The whole point is, the other thing that I love is one little bit that I didn't catch the first time I saw this movie, and it took a repeat viewing to see it. There's no way to spoil something over a decade ago.
Right.
It turns out, like, one of the pivotal plot points, you're like, wait a minute, where is this going? Was that suddenly these loud, horrible noises are playing, which is supposed to be the bells of judgment.
I know.
Yeah.
Which made me think, like, oh, is this going a totally different way that I was expecting?
Yeah, like, is it going to be like an actual,
literally
like,
be like a rap?
It was supposed to. Kevin Smith actually had an ending where it was going to be like an actual rapture. Was gonna commence. I
was like, oh, this is
it was hard. Originally there was a point it was, except, you know, budget, no way. But it was the harboring of the four horsemen.
He's gonna bring the four horsemen, for the rapture. I was like, I would have watched that.
And then Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are gonna show up.
So instead, it turns out that it's just like college students that have a what's the term that they use where it's
co-op, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, co-op or
Co-op,
grow-op in their case, probably.
Yeah.
But you know, it was just them having just got a speaker from a church that was getting rid of it, right? A big, ridiculous speaker. In the opening credits of the movie, as they are in the car together, is it Michael Aragoni's character and his mom, I think? Anyway, as they're driving by, you see the college students loading the horn into a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I appreciated that little bit put into as well. Honestly, I loved this movie also because it introduced me to Michael Parks, which is you know, which is odd to say considering I know I saw at a minimum From Dusk Till Dawn. So I'd seen him before, but like this is where I was made not painfully aware, but extremely aware of him, and his portrayal of the role still gives me chills, especially with the casual bit of as they're under fire and they are actively taking lives. Like, can you fetch me some sweet tea?
I was like, Lord have mercy,
mother trucker.
Right.
So yeah, it was. It really is. It's almost odd in a way to be talking about Red State because it is a Kevin Smith film, but in the same time, it is the least Kevin Smith film of his entire library when you compare what the formula is, or even the language pattern is different than other films. So it's just
exactly.
I appreciated it for what it was at the time, which was an amazing experiment in a writer who at the time was really, and director was really searching for himself, because this is a post Zack and Miri world. And, you know, he went with what he thought everyone else wanted. And this is the point where he starts adopting the Wayne Gretzky, where the puck is going, not where the puck is going, not where it is. And so in his mind, his exploration of his career was where the puck is going, or maybe it was getting out of movies and trying to do internet radio in your living room. So these are all things happening at this time. So I think for the experiment that Red State was, it was an amazing stretch and really showed, I think, the maturity that Kevin Smith can bring to a project if he's brought forth an opportunity. You know, especially considering the origin, I think the story itself, pardon me if it was already talked about, was based on his good friend Malcolm Ingram was doing a documentary. I think it might have been Small Town Gay Bar, and in it, part of the thing that they do is they interview the guy that was the head of the I can't remember the name of the church now. Westboro Baptist Church. Thank you.
Ed Phelps.
Yeah, and it was the interview with Phelps where he was like, "This is dark," and that was this guy is dark, and that was the germination for the idea of Red State. So it even has amazing origins. Go ahead.
In the movie, he even brings up Fred Phelps and basically goes, "Yeah, they're just wackos," and like,
they're just a bunch of sign waivers. But yeah, I thought it was an incredible movie. It's impossible to compare it against the entire rest of his library, but I rewatching it now, I was equally as gobsmacked as I was the first time I saw it, knowing I was in a theater for a Kevin Smith film, but I was definitely not getting.
It's like, where's Jay and Silent
Bob? Exactly.
Like, where were they?
So anyway,
they're there in spirit.
Not even a movies cup anywhere. Like
nothing.
Not even not a snoochie boochie in the whole film.
Not even a nail cigarette.
Boochie.
That it's just kind of hurt.
Nothing.
Me,
Yeah, that's my overly verbose take of the fact that I really liked it.
I love it. Janine, what did you think of Red State this time?
Oh, she had to wait for me? My God, I thought I was coming in last.
Yeah, I thought
I was burning time before SMODCO went. I didn't think. I haven't
gone
sorry.
either. It's okay, though.
I think it was this series doing these films that made me realize that Kevin Smith has this knack to like do films that are popular at the time in his style, in his way, which I think is a
Mhm.
really cool thing that I don't think I ever really noticed until we started watching these movies and discussing them. So I love that about this movie, that he's kind of taking this, like you said, kind of Coen Brothers, almost Tarantino style of film and doing it in his way. So I like that it doesn't inherently feel like him. I like that he felt like he needed to be kind of experimental in this time of his career. I think that's really cool for him to kind of take that step back and do something like that. I do agree with Brian in a lot of the things he said about the dialogue and some of the scenes kind of dragging a little bit and really not giving us as much as maybe we wanted to flesh out some areas of the story and the film. But I do like that he's being topical, and he's not doing it in a comedic way. He's finding a way to do it in this really kind of gritty, messy, dark way, which is really interesting. I think it was well cast. I love what Law said about John Goodman. He's incredible in kind of giving this really interesting point of reference for what's going on and fleshing out some areas where I felt like things were missing. Generally, not one of my favorites in Kevin Smith's catalog, but for it being very experimental, doing something interesting and different, I really appreciate it a whole lot. This is my second time seeing it. The first time I saw it was a long time ago, so this was a really kind of interesting revisit for me to get into this film and look at it after seeing everything else that he's done through these weeks.
Right.
So yeah, I had a huge appreciation for this film, a lot more watching it now than I did the first time I saw it.
I like that. Myself, I still think this is a fun movie in the sense that it is his first attempt to break away. It is horror in the sense that I think it's more like religious real horror. You know, you're talking about horrific things.
People like this are terrifying.
Right, because they are real, and that's the part. That's the scary part.
Nothing in this movie can't happen in real life. That's the scary part.
Yeah, it's that's
exactly
incredibly scary.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you know, he did a good job of bringing in things we knew from our childhood, the Branch, you know, the Branch Davidians, the ATF, everything that happened with David Koresh, bringing Fred Phelps concepts into it. And kind of blending those, and I've seen people with reviews saying, "Oh, well, they could have just made a documentary," and I'm like, "Well, they did, and that's not really the point of this." So, why? No, I don't agree with that. Could he have done things differently? Could it have maybe been a little bit more streamlined? Sure, but I think that in a sense, he's trying to say that people are effed up, and effed up things happen to people, and that's just a reality that we face, whether you be the innocent people, the protagonists, or the antagonists, or the government. All of them are not great, and I think there is something to be said about that, and about how we can find ourselves in these situations without even knowing we are, just because we're trying to do something innocent. Well, sort of innocent.
Yeah, I'm like, who's trying to do anything innocent in this movie, sir?
Right?
I don't mean that. I just mean the kids, you know, the kids going off to sleep with a lady is weird, and it's not innocent, but it's also still being a teenager. There's still an aspect of just you're stuck in a small town. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Literally, these kids
hormones
are
raging.
Right, raging hormones. I don't know. I still think that there's enough here to sink our teeth into, that it's relevant to now. It's relevant to when it was made, and I think it's something that we still need to talk about, because there are people that literally believe that because you're homosexual that you are a sinner by default, and I know I don't believe that. I think that's ridiculous. That
like speaks to like all the, like, one of the things that was really sticking out to me was just like how much they're like twisting their own interpretations of
into things and painting it and toxifying it,
so
and
crazy.
you can't step back and like look at the general messages of love from this person that they're praising. Like, how is anything you're doing speak to what's in there? Like, sick.
But they're missing they're missing the big chunk of it. Like, they're missing the big chunk of it, that like you don't get to do what you're doing.
Right.
Like, God gets to do that if God chooses to do that. You don't get to do that. You're supposed to be here to tell people about God and then say, let's all just like love each other and be great. You're not here to
enact justice in his name and all.
Kill them. That ain't what the Bible say.
So
I watched this whole movie like
people. Yeah.
I was like, what are y'all doing? I was like, this is not the way. This is not what we were talking about.
Right.
Like,
And that other element
like
too, that
it's like it's sickening.
Yeah. Well, that other element that like Will kind of mentioned too, like how all this stuff in it can really happen. Even the ATF side, where like, oh, we gotta just like wipe them all out and cover this up and just just call it good. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's almost kind of like, I mean, we talked about David Koresh, like there were so many mistakes that went on with that whole scenario. You know what I mean? So like they kind of like Kevin Smith's kind of taken a lot of that, I think, and being like, hey, it's still a thing that can happen. So it's like no one's really like good. I mean, the ATF is supposed to be like, this government agency that's coming in to do the good thing, but no, they're kind of doing their own. They have their own, agenda. Yeah.
Well, and once the guy was given orders, the younger gentleman, I forget the actor. That guy, man, he just said, "Screw it. These are the orders I was given. I'm just going to start."
Yeah, like he fights it for a minute, and then he just.
You're talking about Kevin Alejandro.
Yes.
Kevin Alejandro.
Yeah. Well, he did a great job. But damn,
he
expressing that frustration, and then he's just like, "Okay, I'm gonna do."
Yeah, but he literally was like, "I don't agree with this call, but it's the call, so it's what I'm going to do."
Right.
Even John Goodman was like, "Wait."
I know. Like he's like frozen.
What? I was fine. Like you didn't have to do that.
I think he would have taken him in. I think he would have taken him in.
No, I think he would have. Yeah. I think he definitely would have.
Kyle.
My favorite scene is the last scene when he's praying and somebody's just like, "Shut the hell up!" Like they just such a good view of where he was and where he is. You know what I mean? Like you were at a place where everybody hung on your every word, and now you're in a place where nobody cares. And that's it. And I'm so happy he did not die because you deserve to be in jail.
Yes.
Like I'm so happy he didn't die. Like I was at first when I watched the film,
partake in all the things that you're railing against.
Railing.
Railing.
Bottle poke. Sorry. Sorry.
So great. Tyler be so proud.
So
by the way, I think that was Kevin that screamed "Shut the F up" at the end. and that
oh my god, that's good.
And that was
that must have been so cathartic for him.
What's his name's insistence? He's like, "No, you need to be the one to tell me to shut the hell up."
Oh, buddy.
So this is the second film that Kevin did where he literally did the opposite of what you're told to do when you write a screenplay, which is don't write this movie for a particular actor. Write it so that anybody can play the role. And he wrote Zack and Miri for Seth Rogen and said he wouldn't have made it had he turned it down.
You know what?
This is Michael Parks, same thing. He
Ridley Scott wrote that part for Denzel Washington in Gladiator 2. He had Denzel Washington in mind when he wrote that. So it's like they do that all the time. Like
no, people do it all the time. It's just
right. You don't want to like
a lot of them
pigeonhole it like that.
Right.
If you can get the actor to do the thing you want them to do, then just do it.
Kevin Smith, I pray that you watching this right now. Write something for me, my boy. I'm not mad at it. I'm gonna be upset that somebody had me in mind. Like
I know,
sir,
like
I'm here for you. We could be here for each other. I'm just saying.
Right. I think for the purpose of the screenplay, you don't want to do that. Yeah, which I've been guilty of doing. Like I did a sci-fi feature in school, and like of course I have like all these people like, oh, I feel like I had Bruce Willis in mind for this one role. I was like, but like so anyone could probably do it, right? But that's how I wrote it. Yeah.
No, for sure. But, you wanted a Bruce Willis type, and that's okay.
Yeah, there you go. Like
that is okay.
That's a way you could like market it too, right? Like
it's part of the pitch.
Bruce Willis type, exactly. I got you, Brian. Wait, solid. Right.
We know that if you work
with Kevin Smith topic,
it might not work out for you.
Yeah, it might not work exactly. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, not trying to, Bruce doesn't need anybody knocking him right now, but Anyway,
All I'll say is the 3 diehards and those that know. Anyway, this is not my show. I don't know why I said
No, please. Ums can come from everywhere.
I mean, your kind of led Snitty into what he was about to say next, so it worked out perfectly.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I think that it's interesting when you take a film like this and you add a bunch of large actors that you don't expect to see at all, and then they're just not in the movie anymore. Like Kevin Pollak's in this movie for like 6 seconds.
Man, yeah.
Right. And then Stephen Root is in it, but not for very long either. So like they just kind of like bring in actors and then just get them right back. It's very Scream.
Like I love seeing Kevin Pollak in there. I was like, oh sweet, I love Kevin Pollak.
Now he's dead. Part of that makes me wonder how many of them are like, well, I can give you like 3 days.
Right, exactly.
No, for real, right.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, just kill you. It'll be easier.
Yeah, he's like, okay, cool. Can we just talk
like
about
$4
Melissa
million
Leo
movie
for a little bit?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's always
because Melissa Leo, she transformed in this movie for me. I was like watching this, and I was like, she's nuts in this film, and I mean that with all the respect I could give a person who acts. I loved anytime she was on the screen, I was paying attention. I loved every single thing she did, said, how she moved. I thought she played that to perfection. Part of me wanted to be like, were you in a cult? Did you have some background on this? Because how are you tapping into this like so tough?
Yeah.
Like when she lost her husband, something in her popped, and I was like, I'm here for it. I was on that journey with her. I'm sad her daughter killed her. I kind of wanted Kyle Gallner's character to kill her, but it is what it is. She died. That's all that matters. But still,
it was a little more tragic. That was this accidental killing.
No,
that the daughter didn't even like really take initiative and like, fuck you, lady, kind of thing.
And by the way, her appearance in this movie is the same year as her Best Supporting Actress nomination.
I was just
in
going to
2011.
say,
So it's just like I can't even remember for what it was.
Is it The Fighter?
I think
so.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, that's completely opposite what you were nominated for.
Right.
Way to show off.
She plays a caring mom. I mean, aggressive.
Yeah, but she kind of out of nowhere, I think, in her career. I think she started like as a soap opera actress, and then she like started doing films and like kind of hit this.
That's one of those 10-year overnight successes, right?
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
it's like she's been doing this for a while.
Just out of the blue, just became famous out of the blue. Like she put no work in.
Not like they've been grinding. Right. Yeah.
Well, what about this other newcomer I hear about, this Michelle Yeoh? What do you guys think of her?
I know.
She's got some potential, I think.
I think there's big things in her future. I truly do.
I was on the Michelle Yeoh train since I saw Super Cop. I was like, oh man.
See, now I just want us to all figure out another way to bring up Michelle Yeoh train on this thing, but
which is funny because like there's a train stunt in that movie in Super Cop that she got like injured on, I think, because there's this motorcycle stunt she did.
Oh yeah, and the car stunt too, where she Jackie Chan like saved her from being.
Dude, oh my god, yes! There's like an outtake.
Roadkill.
Oh man, yeah. If you haven't seen Super Cop,
I mean, I have, but it's been since the 90s.
Like,
so
yeah, it's so good. I love it.
It's wild.
Yeah,
that was the man that started parkour before parkour became parkour.
Right,
Jackie Chan. It was The Fighter, by the way. It was right there at the same time. She's phenomenal. I don't know why anybody would take a beer that somebody pulled 3 out of the fridge with no lids on them. That's
never drink.
Yeah, I mean, that was sus. I mean, the theme of these two films.
Stupid teenagers, though. They're stupid.
Yeah, that's true. They're being offered sex and beer. I know.
Right. They're not even thinking about it. They saw boobs and was like, we about to get some. And
I do like how Billy Ray was trying to be like really polite, like, "Oh, I really like your carpet. What a wonderful shag carpet."
No, but he was the main one. Like she was like, "All right, we'll go to the room and get naked." And he was like, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Sir, we don't need to be polite in this situation. Like, what are we doing? What
this
is
an internet situation. What are you doing?"
But then he broke my heart later on. Like it was a Nicholas Braun is his name. Sorry. So it just popped in my head. He broke my heart later on when he was like, I just want my mom. I want my mom.
Oh, I
was
know.
Like, oh my gosh. I was like, because I really feel like all the acting in this was like just spot on, because like his character just crying for his mom, it felt so genuine.
In
It felt
that
so
moment,
real.
yeah.
Also, him running away felt real because he was like, "It's too tight, bro. I can't help you." He just dipped off.
Yeah, I can't do it.
I can't do it.
When,
I was
Left
like,
his friend.
man.
Yeah.
when the other character ran away, our main character that we start off with runs away, I got so angry.
Oh,
'cause I'm like,
yeah.
you're carrying an M4, dude. Turn around.
I know.
And use
Just
it on
No,
these
I
people.
was
Just
so
go to
annoyed.
town. Yes.
Go to yeah.
Oh my God. I will say though, like
no,
I love.
was mad when he ran out the church, when he ran past everyone with the gun.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Turn around at the
I'm
door and
sorry.
just.
I'd have
do
been
this.
afraid, and I would have lit up everybody,
afraid.
kids and all. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody would have got.
Well, the kids
everybody
weren't in
would've
there at that
died.
point. It was just
Yeah,
a
they
That's
were
true. That's
separated,
true.
yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I will say I really love the way like a lot of those sequences were shot too, because it was just like
Like
you
very-
felt
it
like
was-
you felt so
yeah.
trapped with him.
Tension.
Yeah, like
yes.
shout out to
Every
the
door
snorri
is
cam. There's a lot
locked
of
and- yeah.
a lot of snorri cam going
Yeah.
on in this movie, which I love. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but every door he
That-
hit, I was like, stop, turn
I know.
around, man.
Yeah,
my
just
God.
go.
Yeah,
it's
that
great.
angle,
But I f-
that
you felt
angle
that.
always freaks me out. That angle
Yeah,
always freaks me out, and I mean that,
Snorri cam's so
and I mean that in
good. I
a
love it.
really, really good way. Like
Yeah.
whenever a film, like somebody's running and a film
works.
does
I
that,
mean,
I'm
yeah.
like, I feel it feels very first person like shooter. It feels very like video
Yeah.
game like,
Mhm.
and my
Yeah.
heart always gets a
Effect.
little
That's
bit
why I
like
suck at those games.
jumpier when it happens. So
See,
I always
every-
love when that effect pops up.
Every time I see it happen, I'm always just brought back to Aliens when we're seeing the Marines on their monitors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what it always takes me back to. But yeah,
No,
it's, for me,
totally.
it gives me anxiety for a totally different
Yeah.
reason. I'm
Oh,
just like,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
too
yeah.
much world moving around and I don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
right. Yeah, yeah. And like
This
if you want
is-
like one of the best uses I've seen of snorri cam was recently in the last Bad Boys film. They took
Bad
it to
Boys
this
4?
other level.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the one with Smith when he had like the camera?
Yeah, they like
Yeah.
rotated it,
Oh,
and then you see the
yeah.
gun,
Mhm.
first
When he
person of the
moves,
gun, and then
yeah.
it turn around on him.
Yeah.
And like, man,
He
like,
was the cameraman
such a-
and the actor.
yeah,
at the
exactly.
same
Yeah,
time,
he had to like move the camera himself, so
Yeah.
it would like
Yeah.
get in that position. So cool. Yeah.
That's wild. Well, any other thoughts on Red State? Any other fun scenes you want to bring up? Or Melissa Schwalbach. Melissa? Why did I say Melissa?
Jennifer Schwalbach?
Jennifer Schwalbach.
Jennifer
Thank you.
Schwalbach.
Yeah.
Wow. If you look at her in all the films, because she's somebody we haven't even really talked about much because she's Kevin's
Right.
significant other. Seeing her from Jay and Silent Bob, and then in her little roles, all the way through, even in
I wanted
Tusk.
to see that.
I,
Yeah.
I think she did really good in this, and I
Yeah.
believed her as
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
of these cult members. And just watching her with that AK, I'm sure she had a
Oh,
blast. It
yeah.
almost looked like
Oh
you
my
could tell
God,
she was,
I know.
and really loving
That was
it.
the thing that was
Um,
sticking out to me too, where I was like trying to like, I was like having this little argument in my own head between like, why are they not very good at this? Shouldn't they be like more trained? But then I'm like, oh, but they probably wouldn't be very trained. They probably wouldn't be very good at this. They're just
No,
like,
because they just
they're
stored them
churchgoers
all
with
up. They
guns.
just stored them
Yeah,
all
there's
up.
some
Yeah.
militia. They wouldn't like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like going, this is the conversation in my own head when I'm watching this movie.
Yeah.
Like, why are they not knowing how to hold these
Okay,
weapons?
maybe
And I'm
they-
like,
yeah, I
oh,
get
wait.
why they-
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, the only people that should know would have been the ATF.
The ATF.
Yeah.
And even they kept getting dropped like flies.
Yeah.
I swear there were more agents that ended up being there than were there when they showed up, but that's just me.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
I like Jennifer. I like Jennifer because she plays very like her characters are always like in the background doing things, or if they do come to the forefront, it's very quick, like in Tusk, how she just she's like
Right,
serving
she was
them
just
food,
a
and then
waitress,
she just
like,
serves
yeah,
she's
I
like a
know.
waitress, and then she
Yeah.
goes back. But I always remember her, right? Like I always just remember
Mhm.
Yeah.
the scene that she was in. So in this one, it was very cool to see her like do more, be more active.
Yeah, yeah.
I personally wouldn't mind if
Little
like
more
he just
drama.
made more movies and he gave her more like lines, more drama, more
too,
things,
yeah.
because like I feel like she's like a phenomenal actress, and just given more, like I would just love to see her explore more of like what she can do. But I really think it's cool that they keep having Michael Parks and James Parks together in films.
Yeah.
So like father and son were pretty
Yes,
much
and they do play
villains-
father and son
villains together. They
in
do
the
father and son a lot.
Tarantino universe.
Tarantino films, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like I love that he has that with his father, that he has like memories of being on set acting next to his dad. I just think that's real cool. So
Yeah.
but dang, he died. He died crazy too. But
He done
I
died.
didn't even put that together. He even looks like his dad. That's a
No, he
ridiculous,
does.
like a ridiculous
does.
amount.
Yeah.
He does.
Um,
Also,
so we'll just
I
get
don't wanna say
James
this
to
one
play that
last
character
thing.
later.
because I forgot to say this about Michael Parks. I think may he rest in peace because I believe he has passed away, right?
Yeah, he passed
yeah,
away in
yeah.
2017.
2017, yeah, that's right.
2017, yeah.
Amazing actor, but blew my mind when I realized he was
Esteban Viejo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kill Bill, and I was just like, part of me because my brain is there. I'm like, that's a little problematic because
But I did a good job.
that's the white man. But I was like, boy, did he crush that role, folks? So it's like, I don't know which way to go with this. I'm gonna go on the fact that he crushed that role because I didn't know any difference. And if I don't know any difference, guess what? You nailed it. I can't really say anything about it. He was amazing. He's an amazing actor, so I need to partake in more of his films. Absolutely.
He actually played Adam in the Bible movie way back in the day. So
Very
keep
nice.
that in mind. I thought that was interesting, juxtaposed to Red State.
Yes.
That's interesting.
So,
Who was he?
all right. I haven't seen it.
I'm
I
sure he had
just
a
looked
leaf.
at his filmography.
leaf,
So yeah, at least had a fig leaf. Which is funny because he brings up a fig tree in this
He had to
movie.
bring his
so,
own leaf.
So,
Yeah, he had to
yeah,
bring.
that makes sense.
It was a
bring
small
your
budget.
own leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Goodman did bring his
Small
own
budget, big
bullhorn.
leaf.
That was John Goodman's
Oh,
bullhorn,
really?
by the way.
I was like, that's such a sad little bullhorn.
It was.
Like-
I have it. Should I use it? Yeah, I'll use it.
Yeah.
Which is great. I think
I
this was
wonder
also
if
when
the-
Goodman was losing a
what's
lot
the
of weight
actor's
because he
name?
looked like he was starting
Yeah.
to lose
Yeah,
some
it was
of the
just
weight.
starting
Yeah, he
to like
did,
slim
yeah.
down. Yeah.
What's
Which is
his
great.
name? What's the cop's name? The
Stephen Root.
His
Stephen
character?
Root? Yeah.
Yeah. he's-
Oh,
The
Root's
sheriff,
character, the
Stephen
sheriff?
Root.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was like directed this way or however it was, but did he trip on
When he-
purpose? Like
That
I felt
actually
like
was
he
not
felt-
on
That
I
purpose.
think he-
accident.
No,
Yeah.
he said that
he-
he said John Goodman was so powerful in his delivery that
Okay,
he
Just
literally
like
turned around and
Maddox
fell
trying to
down.
get
Because
away.
it didn't, because when he the way
I was
he
thinking about
fell,
that too. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that has to be
didn't
real.
feel
That
it
was
didn't feel
real.
scripted. I was like, I
Yeah.
feel like he actually fell. Like
He did,
yeah.
Okay, bet. Because I thought
And he
that's
stayed
what
in
it
character
looked like.
though too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we didn't cut away right away from him when he fell.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
He started to get back
good
up.
on him.
And,
Yeah.
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 and he even told, I think he said, please, Kevin, please put it in the movie.
Yeah,
Not
that's
like you're going to
awesome.
tell the director
I know.
not to put
yeah.
something
You
in
want
the
to
movie.
put,
get it,
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But still, it's probably nice to hear an actor go, yeah, I love it. Do it. Not like Tom Sizemore, who got punched in the face by Juliette Lewis in Natural Born Killers when he broke his nose, or she broke his nose. And Oliver Stone was like, keep rolling, man. Like, what? There are a lot of those.
No.
Martin Sheen
rolling.
in Apocalypse Now
Yeah.
busted open his
Oh,
hand
yeah.
when he punched the mirror,
Mhm.
and they
Yeah,
kept
'cause I
rolling.
think he really got drunk in that scene.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I like that in movies though, when they're just like, this is
Right.
real. Let's
We're just gonna
not
keep
let
rolling
it be
and
out.
see.
That famous one, in Django Unchained, when
Oh yeah, when Leo
DiCaprio
cut his
When
hand
Leo,
open.
cut his
like,
hand
he-
crazy,
yeah,
like
yeah.
blood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
blood
yeah.
everywhere. Yeah,
Everywhere,
kept
right.
going.
I just kept going.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
I know.
Why don't we go ahead and
I
rate
pray
Red State?
I'm one of those actors because I don't know.
Would just
I'd be
keep
like,
going.
cut!
Right. You might.
I'd be
Yeah.
like,
I'm cut.
Just a
I
nerd.
lost my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Right.
lost my mind. Yeah.
Let's rate Red State, and then we can get on to hearing what Brian thinks about Tusk. All right, let's start with Will Wilkins. What do you think of Red State?
I give it a solid 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6
Janine?
out of 10. I know that seems like a low ranking, and that's just because
No, I
it's
It
get it.
doesn't.
it doesn't
Well,
really
that's fair.
fall within my typical type of movie. And
Right.
you know, it's if I'm saying it's a Kevin Smith movie, it doesn't really rank up there, but it did a lot of interesting things that
Mhm.
made me think. So
Mhm.
that's why I
Yeah,
give it that.
All right.
for sure.
Janine?
Yeah, I agree with Will. I would definitely give it 6 out of 10 as well.
All right. Wow.
Is Janine specifically just trying to say like everything at 50% of the amount of time I take?
Yes.
Pretty
Yes,
much.
of
We
course.
talked about it ahead of the
We
show.
talked about this
Yes, we
before.
planned it
Yeah, we
out.
told her.
Yeah.
Specifically you,
I'm just
Janine.
saying. Yeah.
Whatever Will says, say less.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
don't want to
same.
copy you
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, because Brian.
You gonna
copies
copy me,
Janine.
Brian?
That's my job.
So
Right.
Janine, like,
I
you
am
know,
gonna
so
copy Janine.
Janine's
Yeah.
not trying to copy you. It's the whole thing. So.
That's been a thing on the Real
Um,
Study since the beginning. We've always had somebody
Oh,
copy
yeah.
somebody. I don't know why.
Yeah, because Tony used to copy everything I said.
That's true.
I love Tony. Though. It's one of my favorite people. But yeah, he still brings it up to this day. But anyway,
He does.
I didn't know if I wanted to give it a 6 or a 7, so I'm gonna give it a 6.5. Red State gets a
There you
6.5
go.
for me.
Nice.
Find it in the middle. All right, Brian.
I'm gonna be Copycat 6. Also,
Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7, the solid 7, because I do think this crosses that mark for me into the 7 territory. I've seen it a few times. Probably not gonna watch it again for a while, considering.
It's
but
heavy.
hey,
It's heavy.
It's heavy. It's heavy. It was heavier than I thought it would be when I watched it. I was like, damn. All right, yeah, this is bringing up thoughts and ideas. But hey, this is the world we're living in.
Yeah, somebody made a grown-up movie.
Right. Right after several comedies too. It's so funny. Because again, like we talked about, the reason we picked the movies we did is he started off comedy, then he moved to comedy, but like with more serious topics, and then he moved back to just ridiculous comedy, and then yeah. We won't ever get to talk about Clerks 2 or 3, which is interesting, or Yoga Hosers for that matter.
Right. Yeah.
But
which is part of like, I guess there's the Great North
trilogy.
Yeah. So
Tusk,
Tusk, Yoga Hosers,
Tusk,
and then
Yoga Hosers,
and then
Moose Jaws.
Yeah.
Which is that still like in development?
I hear things.
He had mentioned it. He mentioned it recently when he brought up Dogma, because there was clarification he had to put out that Dogma 2 is in
writing
works,
it.
but
It's in
there's
his
nothing.
head.
Right.
But he did say there's another one he's working on, and I think Moose Jaws was listed in that. He said he's got one he's working on right now, then Moose Jaws, then Dogma 2. So like it's kind of pushed down the road a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm hoping we get Moose Jaws. I want it so bad.
I mean, we got Cocaine Bear.
Right?
Why not Moose Jaws?
And I love Elizabeth Banks for giving us Cocaine Bear, because everybody thinks it was ridiculous.
But
so good.
I think I read that he said that he took Jay and Silent Bob out of Moose Jaws. I believe they were in it at first or something like that.
They were in it. They were actually, and one of them was supposed to die in it. I can't remember which.
Yeah, I think Bob was.
I think it was Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think Bob was supposed to die, and then he, over revamping and writing it, he ended up just taking them out of the.
Yeah, at one point they were a co-joined version of the Quint character from Jaws.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, it makes sense to not have them in it, since they're not in like Tusk or Yoga Hosers, so we don't, then all of a sudden they're in this part of the universe. Then that means then you would have to assume that this trilogy is also connected to every other.
But they were on Degrassi, and Degrassi is brought up in Tusk. Right. So
I don't know.
I know. I agree with you. It's an interesting. How do you do it? Because he has technically found a way to get Tusk and Red State in by having one of the characters in Yoga Hosers from. We talked about
in Tusk, the 2 clerks are in Yoga Hosers, or 2 clerks are in Tusk. So, and then Yoga Hosers, but
then Yoga Hosers is.
We'll talk about that.
Shout out to Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
That please, you do your extra reading this week and go watch Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, Yoga Hosers.
Real study homework.
Right.
Yes.
The reading list, if you will, the viewing list.
Right.
Optional extra credit. And tell us what you think about the Nazi bratwurst. That's what I want to hear most from people about.
Oh, the Bratzies?
Yeah.
Is that the podcast Nazi or
no? So that's Nazi podcast, and then these are literally Kevin Smith. He's little tiny bratwurst Nazis, literally in Yoga Hosers. It is not the movie you think it is. It is.
Oh, those I have seen those guys. Okay, yeah.
I feel like Yoga Hosers is almost like paying homage to like Evil Dead in a way. There's like a kind of a throwback to the ridiculousness of it.
In some ways, I kind of feel like maybe we should have skipped Tusk and just rounded
jump to Yoga Hosers.
Yeah, rounded out the month with Yoga Hosers. Because I mean, each one is probably going to get a very similar type of commentary about it, but at least one of them was trying for laughs.
Yeah. True.
I don't know. There are some people who think Tusk is quite hilarious, but
I don't know. But
we will get into that now.
I need Brian's review of Tusk. I need it in my life.
We're going to go to that right now. And because had anybody else not seen Tusk before this week? Janine, you had seen it. Okay, good.
No, I hadn't seen it.
You hadn't seen it. Okay, then we're going to reverse order, and we're going to go with Janine first, and then we'll go to Brian. Cool. Janine, what did you think of Tusk?
Copy Janine's.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm taking notes.
I'm curious if this was somewhat of an influence because it reminded me of this short story that I had to analyze in college, this Roald Dahl short story called The Landlady,
Oh,
where this man who's traveling, he goes to this bed and breakfast and the woman serves him tea and he like notices that it tastes kind of different and bitter. And then she ultimately drugs him and then turns him into taxidermy. And she's done
what?
this with like 2 other men. Yeah, so it's like a Roald Dahl
That
short story
seems.
from yeah.
Oh man. Wow.
Yes. So I remember having to analyze this in college in an English class, and that's immediately where my head went because it
Yeah.
feels very
I mean,
much like
totally.
what
Yeah.
happens in this movie. So I'm curious to want to think like, did he like know about this story? Did that influence anything? So yeah, I was kind of aware of what happens, but I hadn't actually
Mhm.
watched it. So I did actually record my reaction of seeing the
Oh, nice.
the big kind of conclusion.
Nice.
Um
Yes.
but yeah, I mean, it's very strange, and Michael Parks, I
Mhm.
think, is doing great with these kind of big, long-winded monologues. I think the setup is well done. I think the Nazi podcast is kind of a funny running thing that
Uh-huh.
causes
Mhm.
issues for our
Yep.
characters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, I think I felt like I knew what to expect, but then didn't know what to expect once I
Mhm.
finally saw it. Kind of heartbreaking in a lot of ways and
Mhm.
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 really sad and way more emotional. Like I kind of was putting myself in that situation and like kind of getting panicked and freaked out. Like, what the hell would I do in that
Oh
situation?
my
Yeah.
god.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so that just made it kind of completely terrifying. Yes. Which I mean, horror is supposed to be fun. Horror generally doesn't really scare us, but I like when horror can actually scare me because that's what it's supposed to
To
do.
Mhm.
do.
So I find it to be successful, at least on some level, when it can actually genuinely freak me out. And this movie did that. So points for that for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I liked who they cast to be these characters. I like how kind of different things unravel, particularly with his girlfriend and his co-host, and
Right.
how they
Mhm.
kind of slowly revealed that.
Mhm.
Johnny Depp kind of popping in as this
Oh my
weird, quirky
god.
character. I don't know
Gila
That
how
like
I
points.
felt
threw
about
that
this.
Yes.
threw me.
Gila points.
Yeah.
Gila points. Yes.
Well, I love that's how he's credited as that too. Like he's not
Yeah.
credited as
Yeah, he
Johnny
was like,
Depp.
"No,
Like,
like,
Yeah.
no.
my daughter's in this
It took
movie.
me a
I'm gonna just
second.
come in
Yeah,
and
it's
do
like,
this
oh
little
my god.
favor type
I
thing."
know. So good.
So yeah, there were some really interesting things. I liked that this movie genuinely freaked me out and made me uncomfortable
Mhm.
because I feel like horror should do that. So I like when horror can do that. So that was
Mhm.
gave huge points for this film for me. But yeah, very, very, very strange. But
Yeah.
I mean, I found a lot to kind of like in terms of how they built the story and how we got where we needed to get. And obviously Justin Long, incredible. And yeah, I mean, I found a lot to be interested in this movie for sure.
Mhm.
I like that. I like that. Brian, let's hear your take.
Yeah. I was thinking I was gonna be like way more unhinged with this movie, like just based on like how much I've heard about it,
Yeah.
and I haven't seen really anything from it besides like some images of his transformation.
Yeah.
But even then, like the reveal is still pretty horrifying. And
Yes.
yeah, it is. I won't like I wasn't as like shocked as much as I was like very disturbed and just very uncomfortable and just like
Uncomfy. Yeah.
yeah, and just like oh my god, like and yeah, Michael Parks did some great stuff. And then again, there was this like kind of long, stretched out
Mhm.
scenes of these monologues and everything, um, and these kind of like backstories of his days at sea and those kind of things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
And his
and
obsession. Like I think
yeah,
we got to really, I think, understand his obsession pretty well through these
yeah, for
monologues.
sure, yeah, and yeah, Justin Long's really great in this. It was kind of reminiscent of his character in Barbarian for me in
Yeah.
some ways, where he's kind of like
Yeah.
this kind of arrogant kind of dude that like I mean,
Asshole who
what a
doesn't
way
realize he's an
yeah,
asshole. Yeah.
what a way to learn a lesson, you know,
Yeah.
to like become this like patchwork quilt, which like I thought was interesting. He had this like patchwork blanket on his legs at first in the wheelchair that we saw. Like
Yes,
this is
and then that's
like,
kind of what he
kind
ends
of
up
little
being, like this
yeah,
patchwork.
just this patchwork skin. Oh my god, like his like there's like a
And
face
ear parts and
on.
face
Oh
parts.
man,
It was
talk
giving
about
the
like
substance a little bit. Yeah.
oh yeah,
It
What
was
one of the
recalling
one of the funny things that was like so after the movie
Elizabeth
finished,
vibes.
yeah, one of the funny things like so when the movie was finished, there's like your recommended movies,
Yeah.
immediately the first one was
Was
um
Human
Human
Centipede was
Centipede. Yes, Human
yeah.
Centipede.
I would thought maybe Possession would have shown up
Whew.
here,
Yeah. Oh
or
yeah.
Possessor.
But
Sorry.
no, but like yeah, um, yeah. So definitely very very disturbing and like and just like Janine said, like I felt I felt for him. Like it was like really I was like sad and upset
Scary. Yeah.
at the end. It's just like oh man, like
Why is this
kept him
happening? Like,
alive. Like I almost
yeah,
kind
like,
of
just kill me.
wanted.
Just
Yeah, I
kill me,
know
please.
exactly. I was
Just
like,
shoot me.
yeah,
Johnny Depp,
just
just shoot me, please.
I know, like get that mercy killing.
Mhm.
It was kind of nice to see, like compared to like Red State, where like it was very. I mean, this is a very different film from Kevin Smith too, but we still got those little like eeks of humor in there,
Nuggets of his
especially when
humor.
especially when
When he
Johnny
goes to the
Depp
store.
comes in. Like
Yeah.
a lot of
His
Johnny
whole
Depp
thing is
stuff is really
comical.
great.
Yeah.
Poutine gives me the shits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then like,
How
did you
he's just
stay after the
smashing down the
credits?
burger, like just the little quirks that he
Did you
throws
stay
in there.
after the credits?
Yeah.
You had to have a second slider.
Yeah, so there's another scene with him at the end of the credits, yeah, where he's like just had to have that second slider. And
He's angry at
so I
himself because he doesn't go into the house. He's sitting
right.
outside the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very disturbing and yeah, just kind of like unnerving, like at this film. It
And
wasn't
him just all the screaming because he's like, what else can you do?
oh
Like
god, yeah, that
help.
was
And like no
really
one's there to help you.
yeah,
And
he was
Yeah,
really
in no
yeah,
tongue. So he's
Yeah.
just
that was really great. And you just like was yeah. I mean, yeah, kind of speechless. My mouth was open for a lot of it. I was just like,
yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Now I can
the fact
never
that
see this
someone
movie again.
yeah, the
Right.
fact that someone can't see you as human, like it's just so terrifying.
God,
They
yeah,
can't see the
no,
humanity
totally.
in you to like just stop this crazy thing that they want
Right.
to do. Yeah.
No,
Well,
it's
not
terrifying.
just that, but the many other people that have
Yes.
been
Oh
walrus
man,
eyes.
Which
Yeah.
it
And I
was
do
like that landlady story because yeah,
Right?
she like
Yeah.
he read like the guest book because she tells him sign into my guest book and he recognizes the names but he doesn't remember where and gradually as he's like realizing he's been poisoned he remembers them from the newspaper as
Oh,
missing
jeez.
people.
Right.
And then we see the two of them like she like tells them good night and we see these two other taxidermy men as she's like getting ready to like taxidermy the guy who just showed up.
God.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
I
it was
wonder if
That's
he's
terrifying.
like
yeah.
that's very that's
So
so
that's
similar. Like yeah.
why I'm like, did he read this Roald Dahl story? Did that like influence anything somewhere? Because
Did you
it
Yeah.
immediately took me
did
back
you
to
watch all the way
that
through the
story
credits?
and analyzing it.
Yeah, they
No.
yeah.
They
It's
explained
based
because they
off a
show the
podcast
podcast.
episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they play
Yeah,
some of the podcasts
Mhm.
from the
Mhm.
where they're kind of like just hashing it out.
Especially
It's
the
essentially
end.
the scripts. Like yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the music will be playing, and I'm just like, I got to turn this music off. This is so
I know, 'cause
depressing. Like it's
yeah.
so depressing.
I know.
It's supposed to be funny, and I see the humor in it, but not right
Yeah,
now.
I
for some
didn't.
reason.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't
No.
find it funny. I
No,
was
right
very
No.
I
no.
5 years
Obviously,
ago,
there
I
were those
did.
moments,
I
but,
laughed,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Will
With
Wilkins, what do you
Justin
think
Long
of Tusk?
terror. Yeah.
Right?
Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know that sound we all hear as people that scroll through. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was look, the whole thing is I was there for the entire Walrus Yes journey. At the time that SMODCast episode 259, The Walrus and the
Mhm.
Carpenter
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
I was the one that was processing all of the sound and making the podcast sound good and publish them. And sometimes I have to listen to them all because sometimes
Mhm.
there are notes and hey, cut that out. And so I listened to that entire journey and then I watched as the internet responded more with walrus yes than walrus
God,
no.
that's right. Yeah, the hashtags, like, yeah.
Yeah, and I started to
You're
hear
like,
the
"Oh, God."
excitement, and I got scared. I legitimately got scared. I'm like, what?
Like, oh, no.
What is this fever dream that is happening?
It's like snakes on a plane scenario.
And and other than that, I had no insight, no idea what was going on, no
Yeah.
preview of the script, nothing.
Yeah.
The only trickle down that I got to know was that Guy Lapointe was going to be played by Johnny Depp, and I was like, what? Tusk was really interesting. There was a time where Kevin was doing cameos, and like you could also win one. And the guy that I do my podcast with, sometimes Trent Hunsaker, at the time owned a comic shop, and he had bid for and won one of these things. And Kevin just said, "Wait a second, this is the guy that you do the podcast with, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, why don't we do this? How many people can sit in his comic store? Because what we'll do is we'll sell tickets. Jay and I will come out for the day. We'll do a Get Old, and then we'll do a Netheads." And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. Why am I telling you all this? Because one of the things they did, rather than doing a Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, was that they showed Tusk, his rough cut of Tusk, up to the point where where he realizes he is trapped in a wheelchair with an absolute crazy man.
Yeah.
So that was the movie I got to see up to that point. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. This is going somewhere. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
boy, did it.
this is interesting. I'm interested to see where this goes next and how they save this young man.
Damn.
Yeah, and then and then it was just a downer of an ending.
Yeah.
And honestly, look, honestly speaking, Tusk isn't my kind of movie. Okay, boxing Helena was never my type of movie. Reanimator, not really my type of movie, even though it was all part of the zeitgeist when I was in my teens. So Tusk isn't my type of movie. But I still watched every single frame of it, just as I sat through all of Yoga Hosers. I'm a dedicated fan. So it it wasn't my favorite movie, but for the bold strokes that it took, and in a world where Blumhouse movies happen, it's an interesting take on a horror movie.
Yeah, it's body horror.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting.
And him doing
I really did.
something genre in his style that's kind of popular at the time. So.
Yeah.
And wasn't A24 involved?
Yep.
Yeah, the logo came up at the start. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're distributors, which I think is
Yep.
cool.
So it was I enjoyed it for what it was and for what it could appeal to a guy like me. I like that there were little podcast nods also in it for fans of Kevin Smith, like the ringtone that's on Justin Long's character's phone is "More Margaritas," which is an impersonation and song cut from the impersonation that Ralph Garman, that his partner in Hollywood Babylon does, of Al Pacino.
Oh wow.
So, and
that's a deep cut.
Hold on, let me
Deep.
do the whatever kind of name drop is without names. But like hearing that in the movie was funny to me because it meant that I got a message saying, "Hey, do you have the original file of More Margaritas? We can't find it." So I knew it was going to be in the movie. Anyway, Tusk was a very interesting ride, and I actually saw it in the theater. And it was the first time I got a private screening, so that was interesting.
Very cool.
Cool.
Man.
Lala, I know you'd seen this before. And
wait, hold on. Let me be clear.
Please,
the private screening meant I was the only one in a theater with a paid seat.
Oh, very private.
To see the movie.
I've never seen Red Sun like that.
Apparently, I rented the entire theater for $12.50.
Yeah.
I love how they sell the whole theater,
funny.
but if you're lucky,
I've had a few of those. Yeah.
Okay, so
go on
apologies.
like a
I just
Tuesday
wanted to make
morning.
sure that was clear. I didn't want anyone to think, "Oh, I got a private screening of this." No,
You
I
could've
like
let us
many
know
other
that.
people
You could
that
have
went
totally
go
let
see
us
it.
think that.
Oh yeah.
We totally
Found
did.
myself alone in a movie in an AMC, going, "This is really happening." Huh?
You're like,
Okay.
oh.
I'm alone,
know.
and there's Justin Long all alone. This is terrible.
Mhm.
Lala, this was your second viewing. What did you think
Yes.
this time around?
Oh wow.
Yeah, so the first time I saw it, I was like, what? That's what I did the first time I saw it. The second time I saw it, this time I was like I was more engaged because I was like able to like
Mhm.
watch it for real this time.
Yeah.
Like maybe look at things that I haven't seen before, things like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm weird, but I love this movie. I love this movie.
There's nothing weird
And I
about
know
that.
it's
For you. I
crazy.
love that.
I love this movie. It's such a weird thing that you had in your brain, and then you were like, let's make it a movie. And like I
Yeah.
think that's beautiful. Like this movie is so weird. Like the acting to me across the board is just great. I think nobody but Justin Long could be this character. I truly believe that. Like I know actors are actors and people are amazing. I just love Justin Long in this because he's such a dick. And then he goes from being like this dick to being like, oh no,
you really
I feel
like
for
are
him
scared
so
for him.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel for his character
He's
because
still
it's
a
like
human, like you know what I mean.
right, like
He's
he's
a
like
dick doesn't mean he deserves that, right?
he
Right,
didn't get the
Yeah.
chance to like change. Like he just didn't get a chance to like be a better person.
Maybe his
Like
barbarian
Right.
character deserved that.
I'm
But
just but he did deserve that. And then I feel bad for Michael Park's character, whatever his actual name is, because I don't believe Howard
Oh,
Howard's
yeah.
his name either.
all his
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. it's right.
aliases.
I don't believe it, but I feel bad for his character because like hurt people. Like that saying means something because it happens. And
Yeah,
so
this is like the extreme.
everything that he went through was so extreme, like from being a
And
child.
humans
He's
completely
never
let him
had
down.
right.
That,
He's
yeah.
never had a nice human being in his entire
Mhm.
life. And the only thing that was nice to him, he ate.
Right.
Like he is
like-
traumatized.
Right before being saved, so
Right,
it didn't
missed-
really
Yeah.
need
Right.
to happen.
Like,
Exactly.
he didn't even need to do so. Like
Oh.
that's even a different
That just shows that he's like
mental
part of
just, like,
state.
that cycle. Like yeah.
Right. Like, and so it's like because people never see themselves become what they hate, right? So
Mhm.
like you're now one of the humans that you can't stand, which is why I think he was like, I want to like you need to kill me. I need somebody to kill me. I need this walrus to kill me.
Right.
Because like I'm
make up
now
for
what
what
I
I
can't
did.
stand to
Yeah.
make up for what I did. Everything. Like I don't
I
know.
love the
This
blood on the
film just
hands.
yes,
Oh,
this
right.
film just
Uh-huh.
honestly
Yeah.
the flashbacks to like when he was like on the rocks and stuff was giving Lighthouse. Like it
It
was, like
was.
before
I'm with you
Lighthouse.
there.
So like it was very like lighthouse-y, I guess I would say. Again, this is a time where like Kevin Smith does the thing where he's like some serious stuff is happening, and then he's like, I turned you into a walrus. Like it's just it's
Yeah,
very
like some deeper themes, and then just like this
right.
little
And then it's like
sprinkling
a
of
little bit of
ridiculousness,
a little
yeah.
bit of quirk, you know, like he
But
does
it's
it.
silly. Yeah.
He weaves it so great, and it's perfect for this movie. He just weaves it so amazing. This film is creepy, it's weird, it's sad. This might not seem sad, but to me it's very sad. Like when they at the end of the film where they're going to visit him, which I agree, shoot me in the head if that ever happens to me.
No.
Why are you keeping me alive? You're keeping me
know.
alive for yourself, and that's
For
Yeah,
selfish.
They are
exactly.
selfish.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's selfish. While y'all get to turn around and you get to put your arm around my girl, which
Exactly.
is
Oh
now
my
your
God.
girl,
Yeah.
and walk
And he gets to keep
away
running the
happy.
podcast. Let's not forget about that.
Mhm.
Right. He probably talks about every time they go visit him. He's probably on the podcast talking about
it, yeah.
you know, brighten the day, saw whatever. Like that was crazy to me. But what's really sad to me is that when you look in the cage, you can see crushed plastic cups.
Yeah.
They bring
Yeah.
him the drinks that he likes, and I'm just like,
That he liked. Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just like little things like that that was just like flipping me out. Like, and
Mhm.
then the whole like callback to like what's her name? Julia? I don't know the girlfriend's name, but like the whole callback to her being like, you know, that's what separates us from animals is that we cry, and then we
Like,
see him
cry,
cry,
and then we
which
see him
means
cry.
that
Yeah.
he's
Still
not fully
human in
Still
there.
human.
Oh
You know,
no!
it's
Oh
just
no!
this thing. This movie is so great. I just love this movie. It's such a child of Kevin Smith's brain that I don't know. Like some people say, I don't know. This just feels very Kevin Smith, but also like he's trying new things as well. I don't know. I just thoroughly enjoyed Tusk because it's such a weird premise, because it starts off as like this horror movie that turns into like a
really
body
sad, emotional
body like it's very emotional. The cuts between going back to the past to see like parts of the conversation they didn't let happen so they can inform other scenes. Like I just love the editing, and he's in like I believe he edited Red State, I believe, which to me
he edited all of his films.
He did.
He edited all of them.
Right? Oh, okay.
Except
like,
for
Mallrats,
Yeah.
Mallrats. Oh, okay. Like you can see it in the filmmaking that he edits. It's edited like he's doing the editing because it's, for me personally, it's, you can just see how like the scenes kind of go into each other very well. It's not like somebody's guessing like what should come next or what should happen next. Like, he already knows, and it's like because he wrote it, he directed it, like he knows how it's supposed to flow, and it's such a good flow. And this movie is so crazy, like. Seeing Justin Long on that table with no arms, mouth wide open, blood everywhere was such a. It's weird to say beautiful, but it was such a beautifully like set up scene that.
Well, like how they built that scene too. Like you just cut away to like these bloody tools, and
or the artwork in the background.
You don't really
and you get the full shot. It's
Yeah.
just so like. It's just so beautiful, like how that scene is like shot, how it's laid out, like, and then like the big reveal of it is a true reveal, and I think that's like, I think this whole movie is like one big ass reveal, and it's such a pulling the curtain from the like the wizard like type of movie, because it's just like you think it's one thing, but then. You know, you slide that curtain, it's a whole different thing that you didn't think it would be. It just seemed like so many different genres in one film. So like I love Tusk. I can't watch it more than once a year, but
it's brutal.
I thoroughly enjoy this film because like it's just, I don't know, Justin Long to me is just an actor who like, thank you, I appreciate that. I feel like Justin Long is one of those actors. I'll watch it for you anytime. If you want to watch it, just tell me. I got you. I got you.
Feel like
the box,
you're good for me.
Yeah, I got it.
I
got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you guys. Give me all the trash movies you feel, or like movies you feel like this is too much for me. I'll watch it for you. Oh, I should make a service. Anyway, Justin Long for me is like he's such an actor that like I think he's very underrated, because I feel like people was like, oh, it's Justin Long, but then when you see it, you was like, oh, it might not have ranked really well, but that was a great movie. Like I don't think he has like really like amazingly selling like films. Not to say he hasn't been in some, but I think his filmography, people would be like, but I think everything I've seen him in, I've enjoyed him, and to me that's the sign of like a watchable, fun, good actor to me. Listen,
he's been on a horror binge lately. I mean, he did House of Darkness, Barbarian, It's a Wonderful Night. Then he did Spin the Bottle.
It's kind of interesting how he's kind of like, been thrown into
become
horror.
like the Scream
But
king.
Creepers, right? Was like his.
And I also want to say, based off of what Janine was talking about, the landlady, like the short story, they created like a it was a British TV episode where they did a clip from it, but then they created a movie in 1998 called The Landlady with Talia Shire. You know, we all know her as Adrian. Okay. I gotta
Before this, I watched that British like Roald Dahl like stories. Yeah, so I watched it before because I was like, this reminds me of a story that I did an analysis on for an English class, and I looked it up and I like just typed in kind of like the synopsis, and then it came and then like they did a little like actually video version of like this old British kind of tales of kind of Roald Dahl show. So I actually watched that before we got on.
Cool.
So so I'll send it to you guys if you want to see.
I do. Send it to me.
Yeah.
Throw it to me.
So,
one of the other fun details I like too is that his name is Wallace.
Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace.
Especially when they're yelling his name out of the car. Wallace. It almost sounds like Walrus.
Yeah.
Totally.
So
and I wonder if Brighton has something
also it's
to do
like
with
Wally
it
the
too,
Walrus.
Right, Wally the Walrus. My first viewing of this was in 2015 when it was released onto DVD. I didn't see this in theaters. I do love that this is technically one of the earliest distributed A24 films. I think like Spring Breakers and one other movie came out before this. So he kind of started helping them build their distribution, which is great. I had to shut this movie off a couple times the first time. This time around, I watched it straight through because I had seen it. But the first time, I don't do well with this. The same thing Janine was talking about. With body horror, I put myself in the character's position, and it's part of the reason I struggle with body horror because I feel it exactly.
And just all his wailing that he does, and like no one can hear him, nobody cares. Like
nobody cares. Nobody's gonna say anything.
Yeah.
I also had a lot of
yelling with him was crazy.
Oh yeah.
That was.
When I was in the military, the reason I got thrown out of the military was an injury, and it was my shins that were the problem. I had not shin splints, but I had bone fractures of my shins. And so watching Michael Parks shave his fucking shin bones really fucked me up really bad. So this movie was gritty for me in that way. And so I had to, pause and like literally not throw up, but just go to the bathroom and take a minute and come back. Watching it now, 10 years later, the special effects are dated enough that I could, it's a little funky and it was fine. And by the way, if you do want to see Wally the Walrus, just go to Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash, and he's in the window there apparently. At least last time I saw.
Isn't he cute? So cute.
Oh, now
that's the thing. Real walruses are way cuter than.
Well, the whole baculum thing is something that I experienced in my biology class in college. They actually brought a baculum in and was like, "Here, everybody, play with this," and I was really kind of creeped out by the fact that the teacher brought in a walrus penis, but or penis bone, if you will. But they are exactly as they show in the movie, and I think that might have been the moment when Howard Howe decided to go ahead and turn him into a walrus. It was when he disrespected the baculum.
It was happening no matter what.
No, it was happening regardless. That's what the sign. That's what the sign is for. That's what the.
Well, yeah, it is to draw them in, but I think it helped, right? I think it helped to show him because he even joked about how walruses are better than all people present company included, if you will. Yeah.
I think he could have like revered walruses just the same, and he would have been like, "You're a perfect candidate to be the walrus." Like I think he would have figured out a way to make him a walrus regardless.
Yeah.
And this is the second time walruses are brought up by Kevin Smith, because he does bring it up in Dogma as well with the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Well, that title informed this, and everybody knows that this was inspired by a gag ad that was written in a British publication. I think it was called Gumtree. And it was this guy just as a joke wrote up an ad where it said, you can, I'm offering a room and you can live in the room absolutely free. But like 2 weeks out of the year, you need to wear a walrus costume. And that ad spawned the conversation in the podcast. So it's
just making him literally a walrus.
That's why it says at the beginning of the movie, based on real events.
Right.
I
was curious about that. I was like,
based on the real event of an ad that went out that was like that. But the only thing that I want to know about this movie is, if Kevin isn't heavily smoking weed at the time, does it exist? That's the only thing I need to know. And I'm not saying that in a disparaging way.
He's not smoking the tree that fell. Just
the tree fall in the woods.
Wow, that was said way a lot better than I could speak.
That's Janine, baby.
It's the old fashions. It's the old fashions.
Yeah.
There you go.
Come on, old fashions. Yeah.
I just been drinking raspberry lemonade, so trying to stay hydrated. But I don't mean that in a negative way. I just think that it first of all, it led to the whimsy that happened in the podcast, and then probably the absolute whimsy or the why not, or I've smoked away any blockers in order to write the story, and then actually in pursuing to get it made. You know what I mean? It was just like, does any of this even happen? It's a what?
Thank you, Seth Rogen, is what we want to say, right? Thank you for getting him to smoke weed with you.
But it falls in line with A24 films.
It
falls in line with the brand of their films, and I love that. Yeah.
I also think it's kind of funny that A24 would later do a movie called The Whale.
The Whale.
They got the walrus. They've got the whale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
see?
whale.
The lighthouse.
They got the whale.
Yeah.
Is there any more animals?
The
Ocean,
dolphin.
You need
thing.
a
The
dolphin
crab.
one.
I'm
Probably
there for the. Oh,
the
don't
beluga.
disrespect the dolphin. Oh Lord.
I know. What could you
Ooh,
do?
Dude,
The
dolphins are
lobster, but that
awesome
was
people.
Neon,
What are you
right?
talking about?
Did
Did Neon do
Dolphins
the
are-
lobster?
Oh,
Oh,
the
I think that was
lobster.
Neon.
Yeah.
I
that
you know
was
the
so.
next one they
Yeah,
need
the
to do is
lobster,
the
yeah.
narwhal.
the narwhal. Yes.
Ooh,
that's what
yeah,
it
because a lot of people don't think that actually exists. But
Yeah.
hey, you know,
I like that.
we have gone wildly over time compared to normal.
Sorry.
No.
That's
We are
good.
very, very happy to have you.
But
but-
real quick, but can I say one thing real quick for
Sure.
about Tusk real quick? Me coming back in, like, well, actually two things, my bad. So me coming back into it, I noticed like a couple
Three
things. So three more things. Sorry. No, I'm just I'm two. It's just two.
7
It'll be
things.
5 by the
Just
time we're done.
kidding.
7 more things.
18 things. 18 things and I'm done. Okay. So when Michael Parks like Justin's like waking up, like his character is like, you know, groggy and he's trying to like wake up or whatever, and he's like shaving the bone. I didn't realize it, even watching it again, until Johnny Depp's character Guy is like
Right.
Talking about what he does
talking
with the
about what
bones.
he does with the
Yeah.
bones, and I was like, for you to
Yeah.
sit there and
was that.
shave
Yeah.
his bone while you're talking to him, I like lost it and was just like, Kevin, I love you. This is so amazing.
And lying
then-
to him. It was a
and
spider.
Oh,
lying to
yeah.
him.
It
Oh, the
was a
spider bite.
Spider.
whole-
Like,
The brown recluse. The brown.
and
I
Yeah.
mean, that
love
did
his
happen to my
character didn't
uncle
take
who
long.
lives in
I mean, that's
Canada.
very
He
true.
did
I mean,
get
that's
bitten
very
by a brown
true.
spider and his whole foot got eaten away.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my goodness.
Because brown recluse spiders are, whew,
It-
baby. I don't
It
want to
was
come in
giving,
contact.
and now for something completely different with the whole tiger coming through the
Yeah, it's a thing.
Anyway.
But the second thing I noticed was if you watch the scene where Guy tells how he met Howard, you know, the
Mhm.
doctor that he talks about. He is the doctor. So he wasn't lying when he said the doctor was out. No, I'm playing. Okay, so that scene
Doing
where
his rounds.
he goes back doing his rounds, absolutely, and he's there on the porch talking. If you look behind Johnny Depp, the door opens by itself, and then the door closes by itself.
Whoops.
So it's like,
Rest in
I don't
PA.
know if somebody wanted to possibly get a shot from that angle, which they never did, but the door just kind of, or like the air just kind of like opens or whatever, but the door kind of like cracks open, and then it stays open for a couple scenes, and then after that it closes. And I was just like, why did that door just open up just magically? But yeah, just are two things I noticed while I watched this film.
That's wild. Let's go ahead and rate it. We're gonna start with Janine. Rate Tusk for us.
The bean.
I think I'm gonna go like a little higher than I thought, because Law's enthusiasm and the point she brought up really kind of like. So I was gonna go 6 again, but I'll give it a 6.5 just because
Come
I
on.
need my horror to make me feel something, and this definitely gave me
Let's
a visceral
go.
reaction.
Right.
I don't need to watch this again for a hot little minute.
I respect it. It's been years for me. It's been
Yes.
years.
Me too.
So like,
But I appreciate that I actually felt something visceral from a horror movie. So
Right.
6.5 for me.
Brian,
I'm gonna stick with a 6.
trying not to
So,
copy.
yeah.
All right, I respect
Yeah.
that.
yeah. You almost said 6.5, though. I felt it.
You did. I felt it too.
6.25.
2.5. There was a
6.2.
5 in there.
Yeah, he was like 6.
Um,
6. 6 was 6.
Will Wilkins, what do you rate Tusk?
7.9.
Nice.
Hey,
I
Wow.
dig it.
It's a very interesting score. How about you, Law?
Man, I love this film. I give this film a 9. I
Oh
love
my
this
God.
film.
Wow.
That's
I
a
give
high
this film a
score.
9. I
Damn.
love this film. I truly do.
I love that for
truly
you.
do.
I love that
I
for
know.
you.
Thank you,
that's it.
Janine the Bean. Yes, I love it. Yes. Maybe this is my thing. I just need like body horror movies.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to start watching more.
I have a
body horror.
list of body
Wow.
horror for you if you need some body horror. There's
Give
some
me
good
the
stuff
list,
out
man.
there.
I don't know any, honestly. Give me the list, man. I'll take it.
Well, you should just start with The Fly, and we'll get you going from there.
There you
Just
go.
anything
Never
Cronenberg.
seen it, but I will watch it.
Oh,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never seen it
Oh,
before.
don't know
okay,
the
we're putting it on the
Fly.
podcast. That's a podcast one.
Damn.
Maybe we should do like both The Flies,
Oh, yes.
original
That's
and the new
yeah.
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I didn't know that there was a remake.
Vincent Price and Jeff
Vincent
Goldblum.
Price is original. Yeah.
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 No,
So
there
you got
is
one
a Jeff
black and white.
Goldblum one. I didn't
Yeah.
know that
Yeah,
there was a
that's
from the
one
80s.
before that.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know there was one before
That's a remake.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the one from the 50s is very 50s, and it
totally.
feels very
Yeah,
50s. But
Oh,
the one from the
sure.
80s
Okay, cool.
is still guttural and
it's
visceral.
oh
and
my god,
it's
dude.
brutal. It's actually reminds me of Tusk in a lot of ways. There's a lot of like similar beats in some ways. Anyway, I'm going to give Tusk a 6 because I'm never going to watch this movie ever again. I've done it twice. I did it for the pod. That was the only reason I watched it the second time. It just turns my stomach. So as much as I do enjoy it, as much as I like it, I'm not going to do it again. So that's just me.
I want the suit. I want the walrus suit. I want the skin suit that he put on. Because why would he put on another suit? And he fought him in the suit. Oh, this movie is crazy, and I love it. It's so good.
I don't know if you wanted to just quickly get Law's takes from last week since she missed out on.
Oh yeah, please. I want to know what happened with last week.
What was the
Jay and
movies?
Bob, Jay and Silent Bob, and Zack and Miri.
Strike Back, and Zack and Miri.
And I'll be real quick because I know we're like over time. So, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I love this film. I wish there was a outright sequel or continuation because I love Jay. I like Jay and Shannon characters. I love their interactions. I think for Shannon Elizabeth to be Boo Boo Kitty Fuck, like for her to be as beautiful as she is, she plays like comedy very well, but also gross even more better. And I think she's an amazing like actress, and I don't think she was given enough due to probably get pigeonholed as like she's pretty and she probably wouldn't want to do a thing like this.
Right.
And they don't want to give her stuff. So I loved her interaction with Jay. I think Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is so funny because of like the James Vanderbeek of it, the Jason Biggs of it, like the Mark Hamill of it, like the Carrie Fisher of it, like for Kevin Smith to get all these people into this film. And again, this is one of those Kevin Smith films where like it's utter ridiculousness happening everywhere, but the story is such a like thought out and like fun story that you can't help but just like ride the wave and be like, where's it gonna go now? They got a monkey, they got an orangutan now. All right, where'd it go? Okay. Like you just believe everything that's happening because it's just written so well. And Jay and Silent Bob to me are such iconic characters that I will watch them in anything.
Yeah.
Have you seen Reboot? Because they made
I have seen the Reboot.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen Reboot.
Oh, nice.
But I'll probably have to watch it again because I've seen it, but I haven't haven't retained all of it because I need to see it again. But I loved Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'll probably give that like an 8.5.
Okay.
Nice.
Because it's one of those films that I can watch again, and because I have all this Star Wars knowledge, it makes more sense now than it did before. I get things like when I first watched it, and now mind you, I already knew who like Mark Hamill kind of was, but I didn't at the same time. So when I watched it, and they were like, "It's Mark Hamill, kids! Like it's actually like him," and I was like, now when I saw it, I was like, "That's funny," because people would know that was like me. So I had like a ball with that. I had like a ball with that watching it the second time. No.
Yeah.
I was like, that makes sense. And he also plays like that character is very similar to the DC character that he plays.
Oh, that he played, yeah.
What was it?
He's played two DC
the Flash character, Trickster.
The Trickster. Yeah, the Trickster so I don't know if like the Flash were like doing like a callback to that or something.
Well, he played the Trickster on the original 90s Flash series and then was reprised his role on the new one.
Okay, so that's what it was.
And in between, of course, he did the Joker voice, which if you listen to the Trickster's voice, there's some similarities to the Joker. Like, he kind of like
the guy who plays Dawson's dad on Dawson's Creek, who played the Flash.
Played the Flash.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy?
The original Flash.
Isn't that also? It's so many connections going around. For Zack and Miri Make a Porno, Zack and Miri Make a Porno is one of those films that I watched. I watched it so much that I had to stop watching it for a while. And I watched it so much because it's so funny. Craig Robinson is so funny in this film to me. Anytime, like I feel like when Craig Robinson breathes, I'm just like, he's hilarious. Like he's breathing. It's amazing. Like
his delivery is just so good.
He's so good.
So good.
One of my first Twitter interactions with Craig Robinson.
Oh,
Craig
sweet.
Robinson. Oh,
Yes.
that's awesome.
I
Yeah.
had
That's
a
awesome.
bobblehead of his Daryl character from The Office and a bobblehead of
nice.
Daryl
Nice.
Walking Dead. And I said, Daryl, meet Daryl. And he was fun. And he was like, how do you do?
That's awesome. Oh,
That's
man.
hilarious. I love. I think. See, Craig Robinson to me is one of those actors who, like, I feel like it's very underrated, but he's funny anytime you see him. Anything he's in, he's like hilarious. And I watched this film too much. I love films where the unlikely characters are going to get together. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of like the regular looking people finding love, because it's always like these overly uber like attractive people, and it's like I can't even imagine myself being one of y'all, so I guess I won't be finding love.
Yeah, exactly right. I know.
So
Like-
but Zack and Miri Make a Porno was very like normal people trying to figure out how to just live a normal life, can't pay their bills, things are rough, like, and they just rally around and
like
build
a
a
found
community.
family. Yeah.
Right, like a found family, like a community. They just built this like community. Yeah, it's based on porn, but like we just watched a movie with a cult. With a cult is building a family around that. I'll go with the porn. If I had to choose one, I'll go with the porn.
Right.
But this film is so funny. It's so like it has no reason to be this funny. Like it truly doesn't, because Tyler Labine's scene where he's fuck it, chuck it, football, and then he just leaves.
I know.
That's the
He's
greatest.
one of my favorite actors of all time. I love Tyler Labine. He is such a phenomenal actor.
You've seen Dalen Tucker, right?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
He's so funny, but he could go from like being ridiculously hilarious to like very sentimental, like doing like, because he plays like a psychiatrist on like one TV show, like I can't remember the name of the TV show, but he plays like a psychiatrist. He's so
New
good
Amsterdam.
New Amsterdam, there it is. He's so good. So like you have all these actors that like I've watched for a long time, or I'm like, I still pick up on their stuff. Seeing his name is always Randall. So seeing Randall in this was also funny, but him getting like shitted on, literally, that's like one of my favorite scenes. He was just like he
defrosted me like a cake.
Frosted me like a fucking cake. Like it's just like every part of the dialogue is funny. Everything's funny. It's edited great. Tisha Campbell just popping up as the wife.
Gosh,
randomly with a wild role.
She was a wild role. Listen, when she pitched her nipple, I cried. I cried.
And those were fake boobs, I think.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Those are damn.
Listen, with how exactly with how hard she pitched it, that was a fake nip. I don't care what nobody say. But she's a person who, like, when she commits to a role, she commits to a role, right? And those two together are like hilarious, because she's like, white boy.
I know.
Why is this white boy running through my house?
I know.
It's just so good. Like, and I don't know, and the story just moves along nicely. He gets his money from the settlement. He talked about that earlier in the film. Like all these things come to fruition. Like it's just, and you gotta have, it wouldn't be a Kevin Smith film if there wasn't hockey in it somewhere. So it was like hockey in there. It's just, everything just lined up so nicely. I love Zack and Miri Make a Porno. I'll probably give Zack and Miri like a 9.5, because I'm very, it's almost, it's
That's
almost
high.
like a good film to me, but I'll give like a 9.5 for it. Yeah.
All right.
Those are my
Very
ratings.
cool.
I love it. So I'm going to bring up one more thing before we end the show, and that is this wonderful Criterion Collection Blu-ray, 4K Blu-ray for Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs.
We will be giving this away
Blu-ray,
next month.
not 4K, to be
it
clear.
is Blu-ray. That's right. Sorry, Blu-ray special edition.
They haven't made.
but
I
it
would.
is-
I would own that if they had.
Yeah,
4K.
Brian would be right on the
No.
Right.
Screen Girl the Pulse 4K
yeah.
release.
Oh, I was just
So
saying.
we'll be giving this away in December, but you do need to watch the episodes in order to win this, as well as follow us in various places. There'll be a rules video put out this week, and you guys can check that out.
Cool.
But please keep your eyes out
Come
for
get
winning
you
that.
a Blu-ray edition of Silence of the Lambs.
Right?
Yes.
And I got one, so we can talk about
Drink
what's
it with a
in it.
nice,
It's got,
watch the film with a nice Chianti.
right?
Yeah.
It does come with this
Probably.
wonderful book,
No,
which has got all the production stuff in it. This is beautiful. And of course the disc. So keep an eye out for that. That said, this is the final episode of Kevin Smith Month, which is
what a
sad.
month.
And thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Will Wilkins, for
Yes,
being
thank
here
you,
for
Will,
all
so
4
much.
episodes.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Sticking
having
it
me.
out.
Appreciate it.
I was a little sad that you weren't going to be here, but like
I know. I was like,
We all
damn,
are.
Yes,
not
you
sad.
popped in
Now I'm not
perfect
sad
timing.
anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's
I'm glad I could make it. It was
Yeah, thank you.
it was real stop and go there for a while, and I'll just leave it at that. So,
Very cool.
Yeah.
This
but
is
you know,
very
better
dogma,
living through
it sounds
chemicals.
like.
Let's hear it for anti-nausea meds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
You
Well,
said-
thank you all, of course, my fellow podcast hosts as well. And we will see you guys next week with some comedies, actually. So keep an eye out for that. Have a good night, all.
Thanks,
Nice.
guys.
Happy Thanksgiving.